Love that laugh.
I actually do have
Well-
3 heads.
three pumpkin heads.
Yeah, the whole patch.
Yes. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the chat, and welcome to people who've been on before and new people. Gourd King, welcome back, man.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to talk the greatest film ever made.
Yes, definitely. And Nadia, welcome back.
I feel like I'm the only one that's lukewarm on this film.
Kick Nadia.
So I'm very excited to hear everybody's point of views because this is the second time I've fallen asleep during watching this movie. So
Oh,
She likes Barbie. Don't listen to her.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Don't listen.
No, I
As-
totally get it.
As
I
quoted,
totally-
somebody called me a Brie Larson feminist. So yeah,
Oh,
don't
wow.
listen to me.
oh, no.
Oh, really?
Wow.
No, that's an insult.
I don't need a Barbie fan to tell me what she thought of Amadeus. It wasn't made for her.
Mexa, hey man, welcome back to the show. Good to have
Thank you, thank you. Not to be here. Yeah, actually, never seen this movie at all, and was my first time, so I came in hot. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Cool. And Sammy, hey man, what's up?
Good to talk to you again, buddy. I feel like it's been a while since like Roman was gone and everything. We weren't really having our regular thing,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm really happy you asked me on this one. I absolutely love this movie.
Great. And the Jinja Ninja, James, man, how are you doing?
Doing fine. Thanks for having me on. Ready to do some talking and drawing, and looking forward to hear what everybody's thoughts are about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I
Nice,
for one, am a
nice.
fan. Enjoyed a lot, and it was good to. And actually, this time around, I watched the director's cut, which I'd never seen before. So yeah, that was a bit of an eye opener.
Everyone keeps
Yeah.
saying that stuff. I have the hardest time finding the theatrical version.
It's on
I couldn't
DVD on
Oh, me too.
Amazon, but that's
That's
DVD is
the only
pretty much
place.
only way
I have
you can
found
find
it.
it. Good.
Yeah.
Like the weird thing is, Amazon, they occasionally will have the theatrical cut to stream, but it's only
Mm.
very brief, and then it's like they lock it. It's like you can't actually buy a digital version of the theatrical cut anywhere.
Well, I had it on VHS.
Mhm.
But I was looking to upgrade. I was like, a lot of these, it's probably because of the length of the film. Usually they put both on the Blu-ray, but
Yeah, not this one, unfortunately.
no.
They've never had an HD version of the theatrical edition. The DVD is about $10.49. If you need a link to it, I have it.
You know what? Just send it to me, dude. I'll probably get it.
I'll put it in the private chat right now.
Thank you, sir.
It's a
To be
long
honest-
link, but whatever.
To be honest, I'm of the idea that I want to see the totality. I want to see what the director thought, because no, the director was not the screenwriter, right? The writer and screenplay is the guy that did the play, right?
Yeah, Peter Schaefer, yeah.
Peter Schaefer.
Right.
Yeah. So, well, if if the script was there, I think that we need to see the full picture to fully appreciate it.
I mean, I would totally be down to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
the play. I think that would be pretty cool. But as far as the theatrical cut of the film is concerned, it's perfect as far as I'm concerned. The director's cut is imperfect because all of the scenes they add, and I literally was keeping an eye on those. All of the scenes they added in the director's cut are useless. I don't like a single one of them. They're not awful scenes. It's just they add nothing. They slow the movie down. One of them harms Salieri's character almost irreparably in a way that removes a lot of the complexity he had. I think it's utterly useless. I think it was.
Oh,
I know
I think
exactly
it was.
which one you're
I
talking
know
about.
exactly what you know.
Yeah, it was
what you
tacked
mean.
on, I think, to add nudity to the picture. This was a PG
Mm.
movie that was made R by that scene, and I have a strong dislike for that scene in particular, but really every added scene is
Well, there is a callback to what you're talking about, and
but even
I'm
it's unnecessary because like him, and we'll get into it as the film goes on. It adds a new context to a scene later in the film, but
Mhm.
it wasn't necessary. It was not needed.
Yeah, I exactly know what you're talking about, and I
I agree.
hated that scene. I was literally grabbing my chair with hate, like I was angry, man. I was angry.
It was a leap too far too quickly.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
was well. We can talk about it later, but yeah, I
it was
didn't like
too
that.
vindictive.
Yeah,
So,
So
does
the-
anyone
the
have a good
director-
Mozart laugh?
I hate that. I hate. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I
a
knew
good one, actually. I have it
That's pretty
recorded in my
good.
brain. I hate it. Like I'm gonna listen to it in my nightmares. Oh, I understand Salieri. You know.
So the director is Milos Forman.
Milos Forman.
Milos Forman,
Milos.
and the
You do anything?
composer for the show is Neville Mariner, which is he's pretty famous composer. And he said the only way he would do this movie is if they didn't change any of Mozart's music at all. So thought that was pretty cool.
And I know the person who won the Oscar for original score was like, "Thank God Mozart wasn't in the running for this."
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's a good point.
Not with the God. Well, not the goat. He's not the goat.
He would have been if he lived longer, but
He
no,
would
he's
have
not.
been the goat. Yes.
He would have been if he lived longer, but he
Oh.
did not live long enough.
Why do you do this to me, God?
But yeah, it's his. Oh,
I'm
by the
fresh
way,
from
to
the
the
water,
people that I
literally.
don't know very well, the funny thing for me is I discovered this movie by watching Last Action Hero, which also has F. Murray Abraham in it. And if you know that movie, it's about a boy who magically enters into a film and he warns Arnold Schwarzenegger that F. Murray Abraham's character killed Mozart. And he's like, "What, in a movie?" He's like, "Amadeus, it won 8 Oscars." That's how I learned about this movie.
Wait.
I was-
He won 8 Oscars? I didn't know he won 8 Oscars. Which
yeah,
Oscars?
yeah. Amadeus won 8 Oscars,
Oh, yeah.
Best Picture, Best Actor, won a ton of them. Yeah.
Best actor was Mozart?
No, Best
No,
Actor was
F. Murray.
Salieri, F. Murray
Yes,
Abraham.
Mhm.
It was like the only one of the only movies. It's the last movie that had 2 nominees for Best Actor for the same movie, right?
Yep. And in a
not
sweet
correct,
bit of
yeah.
poetry, that
Yes.
Salieri's actor beat Mozart's.
It made sense. Mozart.
Tom Hulce is
Yeah.
great in this movie. I
Mozart
think
is
he's
great.
absolutely wonderful, but F. Murray Abraham's performance is just unbelievably good.
It's
It's
chilling.
one of
Oh,
those,
yeah.
the more
Yeah,
you watch
it
it, the
is.
more it's because you're kind of watching 2 versions of him, and it's
Yep.
excellent. It's so
Oh,
good.
There's times where I'm like almost like moved to tears by his performance, where
Oh,
you're just
yeah.
like, how is
I
all?
genuinely am a couple of times this movie. I won't lie.
Oh, absolutely.
Does anybody know how well it did in the box office when it opened?
It almost tripled its budget. It
Yeah.
cost about
Wow.
18 million to make, and it almost tripled that.
Yeah, it was
I think like
definitely
90
popular.
million or something like that.
Oh, and there's the guy from Ghosts who can move stuff around.
Yeah.
I think it was the perfect era for it to come out. It was a perfect era. People were into. There was like a renaissance of classical music. Also in composition in movies. It was past minimalism, I think, and it was like a return to using opera. Woody Allen using jazz and things like that. All of those composers, Coppola. I don't know. I'm not sure, but there was a renaissance of of this type of music and not minimalism, which I hate. By the way, I hated the 70s. I hated the 70s.
I have
I like
to give
this
I have
part.
to,
He's like,
oh, go ahead. Oh yeah, it was
he's
like,
like, if you don't open the door, we're gonna eat everything and never talk to you again.
Mhm.
Thought that was funny.
Signore, we have something good for you.
Well, and they're using that to his advantage because I mean, throughout the entire film, Salieri's all about his sweets.
Oh yeah, he's got a sweet tooth, and this is
Yeah.
his favorite.
Oh yeah,
And
they
then,
just right out of the gate.
I have
Can
to
you even
say,
know that?
And Symphony 25 in G minor starts playing.
The
Yeah.
aging
doesn't
makeup
feel
in
like an
this
80s
is
movie to me.
great.
Oh my gosh, I'm amazed that movies still have trouble with aging their actors. I'm like, look at that, looks perfect.
Yeah.
There's that you can't.
It
It's like
does.
I can't believe movies have trouble. This was done in 1984.
Physical effects. That's why.
Yeah.
Makeup effects.
True.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Everything is CGI'd now. That's why it looks terrible.
Garbage. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks fake because it's fake. You know, this is someone actually trying.
CGI doesn't do any real. To me, it doesn't add the texture and different colors in our skins
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
give the age, especially wrinkles and stuff. So that's why this looks better than anything now of like de-aging Captain America. This looks better.
Or freaking the
Yeah.
Irish man.
I
for
thought
me,
that was
I
just a
didn't
Joe
thought-
Biden cameo when they did.
Exactly.
Run the country good. No, I don't think I will.
Also worth noting, this movie, because it was shot in Austria, which was under communist rule. This was shot under the eye of the secret police over there, so it was it
Wow.
got pretty tense at times.
Whoa.
Yeah, I
Wait,
know there
what
was a point
did you
in the opera house where the people stood up and sang their national anthem, which the people who were on the film were like, "Are we going to get arrested right now? Because this is kind of rebellious." And Elizabeth Barrage was not the original Constanza. That was
No, she wasn't.
Meg Tilly, who I think broke her ankle right
She
as they
tore a
started.
ligament.
Tore a ligament. Yeah, okay. But yeah, and then they cast Elizabeth Barrage on the fly, who did an excellent job. She did a great job on
was.
this.
I think she does
I
better.
never like.
I saw
hold
the
on.
original pictures of Tilly, and she's almost too pretty
Mhm.
for the part.
Yeah.
Not that not that
Constanza or the other.
yeah,
girl.
not that she's not pretty in her own right, but it was like she doesn't have like the same chemistry. There's like a childish quality about Costanza.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, a bit of I
She
don't.
was
I mean,
really young.
she looks. It's like she almost looks. She looks naive, but actually is very smart.
Mhm.
So there's a contrast between her appearance and her personality that I think is really good. I mean, she has some immaturity about her, just like Wolfgang does. But yeah, I think she's excellent. She's excellent in this.
Oh, absolutely.
It is director's cut, by the way, Canoli. Just so you know. Yes. Mhm.
But like I was saying, this does not feel like an 80s movie to me.
No.
No, it doesn't.
Because it's a fantastic movie and it's timeless. But it just even the way that lines are delivered and just like the acting style, I feel like the 80s had like a particular acting style. Like I didn't get any of that watching this.
I absolutely love this scene because of obviously he starts questioning him about what's wrong with him. He has no idea really who he is other than his name, and he's immediately like he starts playing him his music to see if he recognizes any, and he's like, I regret it's not too familiar. And then he plays that little jingle that everybody would know.
Yeah.
And
no, but you could tell the priest is totally talking to the wrong guy here because he's like,
yeah.
we're all equal in God's eyes, and he's
Which is to him the wrong thing to say. But yeah, and then he starts playing Mozart and he's like, oh yes, I know that. It's charming. And it's like, I didn't know you wrote that. And I love it's such a nice little moment when he says Wolfgang, and then he looks up to say Amadeus, because the meaning of the name Amadeus is loved by God. And he says it like with that little hint of resentment. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
And it's the only time the word Amadeus is said in the film. So it's that little
great.
moment that kicks off his feelings towards him. But really, it's more about his rivalry with God than Mozart. It's part of why I'm bugged by people who harp on the historical accuracy. I was like, the movie's not really about Salieri's rivalry with Mozart. It's more about Salieri versus God. It's a very spiritual
and Salieri
film.
is in a nut house. So you could argue that all this is just in his head.
Yeah, no, it is.
Go ahead.
And you know how that rumor got started?
I
About
mean, I
Salieri?
think people have said that he ranted this or something in a nut house, but
Well, he died of dementia. He was
Right.
dying of dementia. So, like, they a lot of people say, a lot of that was false confessions. But
Mhm.
those rumors got started by Wolfgang's dad.
yeah,
And he was saying things, but the main reason that a lot of people saw that was there was a lot of German nationalism going on at the time, and they wanted to write German operas, and they had a hard time getting them produced because there were only really Italian directors for operas, and they didn't want to direct a German opera.
mhm.
And Salieri was probably at the time the most respected musician in Vienna, and he happened to be Italian, and that's who they blamed.
Yeah, I love. You can keep scrubbing past. We kind of talked this
Hmm.
part, Jacob, but
Wait,
Yeah.
which rumor are you talking? The Salieri on leaving Mozart, or what rumor were you mentioning? Because the rumor,
the whole rumor about Salieri having killed Mozart, that is the premise of the movie is based on an actual rumor, but
Mhm.
it's not true.
yes, I know the rumor was
Yeah,
actually
he
a
told his
play
wife.
that was popular in the 19th
Hmm.
century. That's the actual, you know, musicologically speaking, that is the actual origin of the rumor. And then it was an opera made by Rimsky-Korsakov, and you're right about that it was during the nationalism era during the late 19th century, like 1870s, something like that. But yeah, it was really popular at the time, that thought that Salieri, or although realistically they never had anything more than amicable interactions. They were not friends, but they were not enemies.
Right.
Well, there's actually evidence that Salieri was pretty supportive of Mozart. And but another thing is, during the latter stages in his alcoholism, he was telling Costanza that he feels like someone's poisoning him.
Yeah.
And that spread around as well, so that really didn't help. But
Yeah, definitely. It was known that the rumor was that Mozart was poisoned, right? That was like the rumor. Not by Salieri. That part was not. Then someone made the association. Hey, maybe because he was, Salieri was the most renowned composer in that time, but not actually someone that you study. For example, it's not someone that transcendent
no,
time.
What's
His-
interesting about this scene is it creates a problem from one of the director's cut scenes, because okay, he knows him, he's aware of Mozart's abilities, and he's like, he is a little jealous, but not because of his incredible gift, but because he has a supportive father, whereas Salieri does not. Salieri thinks that the music thing is silly, and of course you've got this scene here where he's praying to be given the gift of composition, to compose for God, and he bargains to give his chastity. What's interesting is he does get everything he wants. This is the interesting thing. He does get what he wants. This is an excellent study on envy.
yeah,
Yes.
But
Yes.
he gets
Human nature.
precisely what he asks for, but it's the bargaining aspect that I guess begins him on that trend of really loathing Mozart, because he's like, he gave his chastity for God. It's like he's like, I will keep my hands off women. Just give me this. It's it's a fundamental thing that being a Christian myself, it's that a lot of Christians seem to forget
Hold
is
on,
that
Jake, leave it there.
you don't add, and it's like you can't add anything to God. It's a fool's bargain to think that you can actually add anything to him and give him something that's not already his. And if you don't realize that, you can very easily fall into envy when you see somebody doing something that you do much better, who you might think doesn't deserve it.
I just wanted to bring this up, and thanks for holding where it is. But you can already get a little insight onto Salieri's character in this movie, where he's talking about how his father choking to death in front of him is a blessing.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
weird.
It's a dark thing to think that is a blessing, but yeah, it gives you a little.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
you are
Nadia's right.
right
This
to
is
know
this is
that.
where I think that if you're a history buff, and this movie should stop bothering you at about this point, because if you know anything about Salieri, he was married. He did have kids. This movie's not
Yeah.
meant to be a history lesson. It's history is the
No.
backdrop for a fictional story. That's what we have
Yeah,
here.
yeah, but I'm just saying the insight
Yeah.
to this character in this movie is,
Oh no, I was just saying in a general sense.
and yes, Nadia, the woman that he's pining for in this whole movie, in real life, there's rumors that he was the one sleeping with her. So I always enjoyed that.
Yeah, but also there's rumors about Beethoven, and,
Yeah.
and that is the problem with musicology. Like sometimes nobody cared to to record the historical data of these people. They were just jesters
Mhm.
back in that day. It was when Beethoven came to place where musicians became well it became the transition of what musicians were.
Wait, let's go back. I love that look. That look on his face, just that innocent mischief he has on his face. The thought that his father dying was a blessing. It shows that dark side, but it's like, oh,
Well, I don't know. It kind of is. In my opinion, it kind of is for him, right?
well, in it kind of ways, this is it in a way mirrors what he ultimately plans to do to Mozart later in the movie. Is somebody had to die for him to get what he wanted then, and in his mind, God arranged that. And now he feels betrayed by God. He's like, okay, I'll arrange it this time.
But and that's the thing, though. Throughout this entire film, he is successful.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Mozart was penniless. He just could not deal with the fact that he was set in his mind, because music is a subjective thing. I mean, I think we can all agree that Mozart's legacy is, much more known, but at the time he's a prominent musician. He's living in wealth. He's in the king's court. He's
That's the name of my show.
You see,
and
you see,
and he just can't deal with the fact that in his head he's second best, and the only person saying that he's second best is himself.
His greatest gift is his greatest curse. Is he recognizes Mozart's better at this than I am, and his music's going to live on. And he worries that his own will not, because he's like, he knows he's inferior. It's like I said, it's like he knows music so well that he's like, Mozart's music, it's innovative and new. These people don't understand what he's doing, but I do, and eventually people will catch on, and it horrifies him because he's like, this guy
I think
doesn't
it doesn't
deserve it.
help
How dare
that
they?
Mozart's an
Yeah.
absolute buffoon.
look
Um,
like. And this is one of the reasons why my teacher hated this movie, because she was a talented individual, talented musicologist, and I understand Salieri in this point. I understand, like, you see this guy working hard all his entire life, and see this like you said, buffoon, who basically was God was speaking to him.
Oh,
I cannot, what is it?
I'm just getting started here.
God
That's
was
okay.
speaking to him, to his ear, and he was literally writing down God's voice, and that's what not only what he taught in that time. Well, in this movie, but this is what musicians and musicologists during years and years, 300 years, 400 years, have always thought that Mozart was, a God was speaking through Mozart, because not other musician never in history was able to write music just like that without any mistakes. Just you see his manuscripts, and I was blown away. I didn't
Yeah,
like
the-
Mozart until
Well,
I
there's
saw
things-
his manuscripts, and I was like, who is this guy? This is the voice of God. I thought this is the voice of God, and this is what Salieri thinks. And him, being blessed by God and giving his life to God, he's like, why didn't you give me this? And you gave it to him, who is
Mhm. Oh
not
yeah.
not your son. He's not devoting his life to you. And Yeah,
There's
I understand
plenty
this
of
guy,
things
bro.
in this
I
movie
seen, yeah, I
where
seen
Mozart should be jealous of Salieri. So they show him, he's
exactly.
playing around blindfolded with kids. And then when they show Mozart, he's blindfolded and he's playing a harpsichord in, in these, they're roughly the same age when they showed them as children.
Mhm.
Salieri had a childhood. Mozart did not. And he's screwed up.
Exactly.
He's like
That's
a
Yeah.
something
modern
that
day
I
Michael
I mean,
my
Jackson.
teacher nitpick a
Mozart
lot in
was
that film.
playing
Yeah,
was
my
playing very
teacher
complicated music
hated.
at
Yeah,
3
Mhm.
years old,
Yes.
playing complicated music. It's crazy.
yeah. He was abused as a child. Like he went through a lot as a child. His
I
father.
just think his
That's
father
something
was
I didn't like
overbearing.
of the beginning. Showing his father, like he was a serious guy, but they didn't show him as the monster he was. To monster.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
okay with that just for the sake of the film itself, because I think if they had
Mhm.
focused too much on that, uh, it could have. I mean, this would have been a much longer film, and it would have been difficult
This is
to tell Salieri's story on top of telling everything. I mean, I think they allude to
Maybe
the
it would have,
father
yeah.
being drilling him hard and everything, but yeah, it's like
well,
his father groomed his children specifically
he
to
even
be
admits
musicians.
it
They
in
were
the
not given
film.
a choice,
Exactly, because he was a failure. Yes, exactly.
He's like, blame it on me. He's a spoiled brat, but that's my fault. I
Yeah.
didn't raise him. But this is probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire film. Right here is when
Yeah,
he's looking around going, who could this Mozart possibly be? And then Mozart comes in and he's talking about taking a dump on his wife's face and you know
He's playing.
it-
He's playing a game where he's like. I mean, the funny thing is, the little word game he's playing actually is something of a display of his intelligence, that he can so
Mhm.
quickly, move phrases and say them backwards and all that just to play a joke on her. It's like because comedy takes genius, and he has that. It's a little hint that's nice and subtle. I liked it. But yeah, the scene. It's really funny, and one of
I
the things
like
I appreciate so much about this film is how funny it is. This is a
It is
really
really
funny
funny.
movie.
It is really
Yeah.
funny.
I like how
And
he's,
it's not
he's
also I
funny.
enjoy
looking
in
for
the beginning of
Mozart.
this film it's much brighter, and
Mhm.
as it goes along it starts to get dimmer and dimmer and dimmer
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
until
All
I like
natural
that
lighting
in this
used, by
scene
the
he's
way.
in this
Just like
scene he's
Mozart, yeah.
looking for Mozart,
Mhm.
but he gets sidetracked when he sees the
Yeah.
dessert trays.
He can't help himself.
Is he like Brad Pitt that he cannot be in a shot without something in his hand?
When obviously he's hanging with this girl who's let's be honest, her breasts are basically a character in this. I mean,
Yeah,
they
I was gonna say, wow.
yeah, it's like they don't shy away from putting them on display. I mean, that's part of the reason I think it's gratuitous to actually have the nudity in from the direction cut. Because I was like, you've number one, again, it hurt Salier's character far too much.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they do enough on that front anyway. They didn't need anything else. It's like you can tell what he likes about her physically. It's like, oh, she's quite buxom. That's nice.
Yeah, Mozart was
That's
funny.
true. No, he had some pretty dirty. He has a couple of songs that are pretty dirty, to be honest. He's got
All
some
his
And
songs
songs
just like
that-
letters from Mozart to his cousin that are
Mhm.
ridiculous. I mean, yeah, and it's all toilet humor. But this is I love the chemistry between these two.
Yeah.
Like it just works out. So I have something on the stage play. So the original when it came out, it was Paul Schofield as Salieri and then Simon Callow as Mozart.
Yep.
Then after it left the National Theater and went to Broadway, the first person to play Salieri was Ian McKellen, and the first person to
Wow.
play Mozart was Tim Curry.
Who wanted to be in
then,
the movie? He did audition for the
Wow.
film.
Then there's then Frank Langella eventually played Salieri, and then Mark Hamill played Mozart. I don't know if they played at the same time, but Mark Hamill attributes he got the job as the Joker in Batman the Animated Series because he spent so much time. And I've listened to different like stage recordings of the play. Mozart has every actor does the laugh differently,
Yeah.
and he said through exploring his laughter, that's how he found the laugh to do the Joker on Batman the Animated Series. So without one of the greatest movies ever made, one of the greatest cartoons ever made would not be made. So
There you go.
Uh,
At least it wouldn't be the same.
It's all linked.
Yeah. And other actors, by the way, that were up for Mozart included Mel Gibson. Kenneth Branagh really thought he had it. He thought he had it in the bag. It wasn't until later he found out that Milos Forman was casting American actors instead. And Mick Jagger was another person who auditioned, which I'm glad
Mick
that
Jagger,
didn't happen.
wow.
would have been awful.
Yeah,
I would
that-
have loved to
that
see
would
Mel
be-
Gibson in this.
That's what I was thinking.
Mel Gibson in the
King.
early 80s, I could
Yeah.
see it. He's a
Yeah.
dang
Yeah,
good actor. So.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
It's
I
just
think
I don't think
he
his
chimed in.
voice would have worked for the laugh, but yeah, he was.
Well,
he's a
that's the
great
thing.
actor.
Everyone's laugh is
Yeah.
different. Everyone they did a different laugh. So like the original actor, he kept going like ho, 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 ho. It wasn't the like it wasn't the high pitch. He had
Mhm.
like a weirder, almost aristocrat like chuckle.
Yeah,
And I mean it worked fine, but obviously it's nowhere near as iconic as
the
Oh.
look on his face here when he
Oh.
realizes that Oaf is Mozart. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, no, that was like it's the best. I
it's
mean,
so good. He's like,
he
oh
earns-
my. I mean, it's horror. It's genuine horror. He's
Yeah.
like, oh
Mortified.
no. Yeah. I've had that look on my face before
Uh-huh.
for different reasons, but yeah. But yeah, it's like you and as an audience member, you're seeing this and you're like, this guy? Really? Because I mean, I saw this when I was 17, so I had no idea what I was getting into. I just know what the kid in Last Action Hero told me. It won 8 Oscars. Like, all right. And then they start playing the music, and he's just watching him do it. And then here in a sec, when he starts breaking it down and
Oh, my
describing it,
God.
it's like this. That was the point of the film where I fell in love with it. When I was like, "Oh, this is good!" Like right here is where, and
Mhm.
now the scene they add to it in the director's cut, which I didn't see till much later, I really don't like, because for one thing, it's betrayed by the scene where he's showing him as a kid. He's like, "Oh, this piece had to be an accident." It's like, well, it's not an accident. You've known of Mozart for decades, so
Yes.
you're well aware of his talent. Why would you say, "Well, that had to be an accident"? I'm like, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, even just that little addition, I was like, no, that's not good.
It was the full scene, or just into the part where he shows his bum?
Well, there's the scene where he's describing the music to the priest. That's all from the theatrical cut. It's beautiful. It's excellent. But when they next show him saying, it's just a portion of that scene, and it's specifically when he says, this piece had to be an accident. It had to be. It had better be. That's added. That's not in the theatrical cut, and it's a bad addition.
Oh,
Another
Another thing
addition.
it is a bad
I
addition
enjoy about
indeed.
this
Yeah, it sounds like a bad addition. Why would the emperor? Yeah, it
is,
makes no sense.
the only time that
Was it good?
Salieri is honest with Mozart is when he's critiquing, or honest about Mozart is when he's critiquing his music.
Yeah.
And he lies to him any chance he can get, unless
He
he
lies to
asks.
him often, except when it comes
When
to the
he's
music. He
dying.
can't stop himself from praising the music. 'cause
No,
it's-
Yeah.
well, he almost there's a couple times where they ask him his opinion of it, and he almost goes, he gets this catatonic look on his face, like it was marvelous. Like he just can't he can't help it. And
Yeah.
I
Until when
he
he's talking
ignores
about the
it too
flute,
much.
the magic flute, then I think it was definitely was he was being sincere then, but it was because he was his deadbed, you know.
Mhm.
Then you can be honest. with
I
just-
could play. If I could play this scene, I would, because
Yeah.
it's just so great
These
the
are
way
really
he
Oh, by the
describes this
way,
piece of
They're
music.
some of the best
Oh.
parts of the movie. It's just them talking about music.
Yeah, bro, Sammy, did you watch the making of Amadeus?
I no, I didn't see that there was like
Yeah.
a documentary or anything on.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
own the film, I'm
send you
sure
the name. The making of Amadeus is with the director in it. And I mean, I haven't seen it, but I want to see it now because
yeah.
I know that this guy went to classes with a director because of the way he moves his hands. Mozart was less accurate, but this guy, when he's describing the music, is just perfect. I haven't seen an actor, not even like the guy that did Maestro, not even him. Like he had some inaccuracies, but
He
this
even
guy, this
oh,
guy, he like when he's reading the music and he's, oh my god, that I seen teachers and I seen professors in my school do this kind of thing that they just read the music and they're like, and with the finger, and it's just
Mm.
perfect. He literally seen an actual director do this.
I
And
also I love Jay
great.
brought up the Rusty Squeeze Box line.
Yeah.
I love that line because it does play to that. Like I said earlier, this movie in many ways mirrors one of Mozart's opera. Well, several Mozart
Mhm.
operas which have a lot of comedy and then tragedy. Is he says that he literally says, he goes, the beginning is almost simple, almost comic, bassoons, bass horns, like a rusty squeeze box. And I was like, oh, I love that line. That's a good line.
Yeah.
It's they do such a good job with the dialogue, in particular when they're talking about music. It's beautiful. This movie changed
And
my
two,
musical
it's
taste. I liked classic rock, and then I was like, I need to listen to classical music now, and it's my favorite music now.
yeah, that the way he describes that piece of music is like, it's down here with all the, people and their messes and the rusty squeeze box,
Mhm.
and it's like it raises up to God, which is
And it's like,
pretty
and
cool.
suddenly high
I
above
love-
it,
I
an
love-
oboe,
Yeah,
single note
yeah,
right.
hanging there, unwavering. It's like, he describes it so well.
It's
And it's
great.
like, you don't even see your gift. Salieri would be a great YouTuber. He would be a perfect. That
Yeah,
dude
he
could
would.
kill it on YouTube. I would subscribe to his channel and support it through membership.
yeah,
Absolutely.
he will
We have
also
to-
get the
I'll have to
the
send it to you, Gord.
allegations when he will ask Constanza to do, like
He's
anything.
on Joe Rogan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll have to send it to you, Gord. There's a thing of F. Murray Abraham where he just reads a BBC. Like they'll do like a not necessarily like a stage play, but like a reading of this, and he reads the entire script, and like it's even when he gets to this part, you're just it larkens back to the movie, and you're just like, oh my god, like just let me put that back on, because that is, I mean, this is probably I can't. There's very few performances I can think of that I enjoy better.
The only
Yeah,
performance I even put close to it, it's like I like this one more because it's in my favorite movie, but this and Daniel Day-Lewis and There Will Be Blood are my two favorite performances.
Oh, that's such a
All
great
right.
movie.
Those are
Oh,
the two, but
absolutely.
this one's I
Yeah.
like more because it is in my favorite movie. But yeah, it's great. And I have a video I'll send you later. If you might have already seen it, but it actually shows the music. It animates the music as Salieri and Mozart composed the Requiem. It's a great video. It's brilliantly
God.
edited.
I have to see it.
Yeah, I'll send you it. don't worry.
I love these two.
Oh, they're great.
Okay.
Oh,
I know
Stuffy director and
Giuseppe
like
Bono
guys.
and
Staffelmeister.
Douchey McDouche.
Those are the
Um,
Too
guys
many
from the
notes.
Muppet Show.
Too many
Yeah.
notes.
too many notes. But, yeah,
Spice.
there's one scene where Bono laughs a little bit longer than everybody else, and it's just like a.
Yeah, he's like, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, dude.
But this goes to show like the great acting, though. It was like you can tell what they're. You could watch this with the sound off, and you could tell what these characters are thinking.
Oh yeah.
Like
I watched part of it with the
Yeah.
sound of, because I was working and I needed to finish the movie, and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch like 30 minutes of the movie, and it was like I was just hooked to the stream, watching the people talk and just watching the subtitles and the descriptive subtitles. It is really well acted. I was impressed by the directing. I think the director,
I
the
love-
best the director did was the acting, in my opinion.
Yeah. I like whenever he hears a piece of advice from somebody, he's like, huh.
It's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
well,
I mean,
What's
look,
that actor's name?
I know Jeffrey
Oh, yeah.
Jones is a complete
Oh, Jeffrey
creep.
Jones.
He's an
Yeah.
awful person.
Real life
this is a-
pedophile.
but
Yeah.
This is a fantastic performance. I mean, separate
Wait,
the art from the artist.
what?
This is a great performance. Oh yeah, he's a pedophile.
RL.
He-
Oh
Real
my
life
lord.
you will never see him
Yeah.
in movies again. Well, probably not.
Who
but,
is the emperor?
Yeah, he's
So much
I
so
didn't
that I
like the
think
Emperor
in
at
the
all.
beginning of Beetlejuice, they're burying his
yeah.
character.
I think so too, and
yeah.
I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, it was like weird.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
funny
he
because
he
the
was.
least performance that I liked was the Emperor. I didn't like that at all. I don't
Oh,
know.
I thought he was great.
Maybe it
Yeah,
was
I thought
not
he
the
was pretty
performance for
fantastic.
me, not the performance for me, but for me was maybe the script for him. I don't know. For maybe they tried to make him too goofy, in my opinion, and this is something my teacher was nitpicking. The Emperor was such a renowned, I don't know, like such a renowned person, and then all of that, well, the Emperor, had a lot of knowledge, but he didn't
No,
have musical
I
ear.
mean, like I
He
said,
does.
didn't have a musical ear, and
He's
that is
got the reason he is where he is by birth and birthright alone.
no, but yeah,
Anytime
but they get like
he's so
classes in
agreeable.
child.
Anytime someone says
Yeah,
something, he goes, "Yes." Like, like he doesn't have an authentic thought throughout the
oh no,
entire film.
no, she didn't mean it by that specifically. She meant like the way he did music and things like that. She was like nitpicking, like mostly the portrayal of his abilities, perhaps. That is
This
what they were.
historical
Yeah,
accuracy of it sounds like.
and
Mhm.
exactly historical, mostly
Oh,
the
okay.
historical accuracy. But when I saw the movie, I didn't care at all. I thought that how he was done, it was really funny. It was great. But there was some, I don't know, some words that he said, and you were right about the too many notes. I didn't like that scene at all. I don't know.
I mean, I think
Oh,
the
I
scene's.
see.
I think the scene's great because of the payoff of his line right after. He's like, "Which view? Like
What-
that? Which view did you have in mind?" Is such a.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's a great comeback to. It's like
Yeah.
really. It's
slap in
like
the
okay,
face.
you tell
Mhm.
me what I need to change.
Yeah.
It's like it.
Exactly.
I
No,
love
it
that
was
he
like
has
the
that
student
combative.
talking back to the teacher.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
like, because everybody in his court is like, oh,
Like Mozart, for all of his silliness, takes his music very. I mean, my favorite movie line of all time comes much later in the film when he's talking to him. When he says, "Forgive me, Majesty, I'm a vulgar man, but I assure you, my music is not." He knows he's great at music, and he
Yeah.
will defend his music to a T. I mean, it's
Yeah.
and it's like I think if that line too many notes were left in by itself, yeah, that probably would be an annoyance. But there's such a great comeback to it that yeah, I think it's excellent.
well, and
Love
he
it.
also knows how to play the game too. Like, I love the way that he manipulates him. Mozart, just like that's, it's coming up later, but the scene where he has the dancers just dancing without them
Without the
playing, and
music.
then he realizes how ridiculous
Yeah.
that law is, and you know what I mean. It was,
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Jeffrey Jones's funniest line probably is that he was like, "Oh, look at that." It's hilarious.
oh,
We'll
see,
get
this
to
is
that.
great
We'll
too.
get to that. I
This
don't
is
want
great
to
too.
jump.
Where
That guy was really funny.
he's trying to
Everything.
teach him or trying to instruct him because he wrote a song for Mozart,
Mhm.
and Jeffrey
Oh,
Jones insists on playing it, and you see Salieri's like eye twitch every single time he screws up a note.
I mean,
And
he is. I mean, he's fine because he's like, I'm teaching you something. It's fine. He's doing the instruction thing, and like the emperor's getting like pissy. He's like, oh,
It is
getting
hard.
frustrated and stuff. It's really funny.
It is
But,
hard to read. Just read it and play it.
yeah, I mean, he does pretty good for it.
anyone. Yeah,
Yeah.
anyone that haven't studied for a while, even if he gets nervous, imagine you're playing for Mozart. You get nervous and you play it. I thought that scene in particular was perfect. I was flabbergasted by that scene. That was one of my favorite scenes, to be honest. You're right. I forgot about the twitches that he does. Just like small twitches whenever he misses a note, and it's perfectly timed, and they did it perfectly. The
I love also he
composer and the
bows
music
to this
editor
guy and
was,
he's just pointing like, no, not me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
in
an
these scenes,
overly flamboyant
yeah. And these
bow
scenes, by
too.
the way, when Mozart comes in later and he plays the same tune, they're actually playing. And one of the few scenes where they actually play, because Mozart's music is really complex in the piano, specifically later during his life. So it's really hard to actually, when he's playing, you see the tricks that you don't really show him the actual notes. But here I can tell you that he's playing what he's reading, and he's nervous because I see, and this is something that pianists are going to always tell when someone is nervous, their hands shake too much, almost like you had Parkinson. It's like he's like that. You can see in the recording, if you watch it again, the movie, and you notice his hands of Mozart when he's playing that tune, even though it's such an easy tune, he's shaking because he's playing for real in real life, and you already know that he missed a shot or two.
Well, yeah, and
That
well, it's
was so
it's
real.
Tom
That was so
Tom
real.
Hulce's credit. Because okay, so the music they're playing was ADR'd in, and yet I know like some of the music coaches said, he got just about everything right.
Yeah.
And to Tom Hulce's credit, he practiced piano 4 to 5 hours a day. So he put the work in, even though he knew whatever he played wasn't actually going to be heard in the film. So it's like, hey, well done, man. That's
Yeah,
excellent
this is
dedication.
something that people don't do anymore, and this is like I hate because I'm whenever I watch a movie about music, I'm always really critical of the 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 actual instrument playing, because I play a lot of instruments. I know a lot about playing instruments, and I get really angry with all of those movies that are like for show, and they're like showing like the guy doing like crazy things, and I'm like, okay, don't be like that, but he did such perfect job. Maybe one scene that you say maybe it doesn't look real, but the rest is just sublime. He's perfect, and this scene is perfect to the teeth. It felt like a music recital that you go, a music concert that you go to go to your buddies in music school. It was just so perfect. It was holy moly.
Yeah, and it's such a great scene character wise also, because he's they're bringing him in to commission an opera for him, and they all want it to be in Italian, but he's like, no, let it be German. Like, he just likes the challenge, he likes to do new things.
Mhm.
And
I respect
may I
that.
interrupt for a
Go
second?
for
I
it.
just want to note that the costume designer who this movie is fantastic for, actually is a traditional painter.
Nice.
Oh,
You
Yeah.
can
there you go.
Wow, you can tell
Yeah.
that he
Yeah,
has an eye for it.
Theodore Pistic, who won an Oscar.
Yep. Yep.
He
A
deserves
much
it.
deserved Oscar. In fact, the only nominations this movie didn't win for were for film editing and for Tom Hulce also got nominated for Best Actor. So naturally he lost because F. Murray Abraham won. So
Yeah,
Which to me, I can see the traditional painting come across with the costumes by the choice of color palettes for everyone.
Mhm.
And their wigs too, as well, matching
Yeah.
into it.
yeah.
Well, even the
Uh,
blocking too. I mean, I know that the costume designer wouldn't have anything to do with it, but I mean, a lot of these still, stills look like people posing for a classical painting.
Yeah, like the composition, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything in
I
this
actually noticed.
was perfect.
I noticed in the credits there was actually a person credited for just the wigs.
nice.
So they had somebody on set that just for the wigs.
You can tell. Yeah, they needed it. They needed that person specifically for weeks. It has to be 200 weeks in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not too much, but like at least 50 or 100. But
I don't know, man. 200 felt pretty on the money
Sorry.
because keep in mind. Well, yep.
I'm catching up. I lost internet. What was the last thing I heard was
Oh,
Jacob said there was one person who was credited for all the wigs.
Oh,
Yes.
then we guessed how many
Yes.
wigs were in the film.
Oh,
And Mexica said 200, and I think that might be spot on because there's people in the audience. There's people.
I don't know. I think it might be quite a bit more than that.
Yeah,
think it's
I
more
don't know.
than
Perhaps,
that.
yeah, perhaps. I thought 200 because maybe in the same scene you need the 200. So there are a lot of scenes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
especially
some got
when
repurposed, but I'd be
Don Giovanni.
I'd move it up to something more like 400 or 500 personally.
Yeah,
I think it might be
I think you're
Yeah,
right.
it's hard to repurpose it. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody Google it.
Okay, we gotta Google it.
let
I'll
me
Somebody have to Google it.
I'll
Google
Google
it.
it. 1 sec.
Yeah. And then we get introduced to the laugh.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh,
1,500, over 1,500.
Holy
And
cow.
that was a
Wow.
$500,000 of the budget. So
World's
yeah,
wiggiest movie.
that was over 5% of the budget was just wigs.
Yeah. It could be
That is
the
crazy.
most weeks in a movie. Yeah.
Haven't seen a wig party that big since the 19th century. But yeah, it's
I got it.
well, we know Roman got it. Yeah, I love this scene. I love that Salieri is trying to put on his most impressive face. He's trying to feel bigger than Mozart. There's already a little hint of jealousy in him because he's obviously remembering that first encounter. So there's a little bit of bitterness there. But then, I think he challenges a little bit here. He's like, oh, what are these German virtues? Being a foreigner, I'd love to know. And tries to put him down a little bit with his quips, maybe show himself to be a little bit smarter. And then Mozart just having none of it. He's like,
I love
love. In Italy, we know
where he
nothing
said,
about love. It's like, no, I don't
it's
think
about
we do.
love.
Oh, yeah, I do
yeah,
love that line.
Italians know nothing about love. That was such a great.
And this is like the most serious we've seen him, other than I guess the look he gave when he said they're playing my music. But he's like, you see that there is some depth to his character here. He's like, no, I don't think you do. He's like, all the watching Italian opera, disgusting fat people all over. He's like, that's not love. That's just rubbish. And I was like, that's the part where the bigger guy, he starts chuckling. He's like,
Yeah. And he's always sweating. Like they're always the girls behind him are always like patting him down. He just doesn't look like he's healthy.
It reminded me of like the people who treat horses, like just there
he looked
brush him.
He looked like a tumor that
sweat.
came to life.
But yeah, he's like, you can keep it. It's already here in my head. He's like,
I love this part.
Oh, I mean, I've watched this scene more times.
Oh, and then this is where he goes, oh, but that's not quite right, is it?
And
then
because the rest
starts
is just
adding
the
a
same,
little bit
isn't
more.
it? Yeah. And he starts improving it, and like just completely. So I would be curious what you all think of this. I don't think he cares whether this hurts Salieri's feelings. I don't think he's even concerned with that. I think
he's not even
in his mind. He's just like
acoustic.
musically. He's like, no, this shouldn't end that way.
No, because it goes into a minor chord, and Mozart figures out a way to keep it in a major scale and also like add what will soon be the vocal line to that piece in a matter of seconds, and that's actually how the song is played. He's like, oh, it just kind of repeats like this. I was like, well, when I think when he's saying like that's not right, I think he's going like, well, have you tried going like that? You know what I mean?
I don't
he's
even
just
think he's not necessarily trying.
There's
to
no malice
him.
behind it. He's just a genius.
Yeah, and he's even looking. He's like, well, better. What do you think? He's excited.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Mozart was
he's not capable of it.
I think Mozart was acoustic, a little bit acoustic. No, he didn't have like he was a genius, the kind of genius that don't really have that kind of empathy.
I think there was
which is
also
really
an
normal
aspect
with
that
musicians.
he's
Really
showing
normal
off
with
too.
musicians, by the way. Many people that when I compose music and they were like, I don't know, this doesn't sound quite right. Why don't you try this? And it was someone that I really admire. It was like a genius. It had this. It's called absolute ear. I don't know. It's oído absoluto in español. I don't know how is it in English. Absolute perfect pitch. I prefer, to be honest, the Spanish term because it's like absolute hearing, basically. Not perfect pitch. Perfect pitch can be achieved by people that train it. But absolute hearing is like this, that you can hear music and you already know and you can reproduce it. And it's just a small percent of people that has ever done that. And Mozart was one of them, definitely. And the best, probably.
Yeah, here we meet the object of his affection, or as he puts it, lust.
Who he boned in real life.
Yeah. She looks a bit like a candy cane here. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He even I like his little laugh when he first sees her. She's like, "What do you think?" And he's like, and he has to hold his laugh. And I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of what I thought when I saw her." Funny enough, she's in the movie Black Sheep with Chris Farley and David Spade. She's the villain in that.
Oh my God, she is.
Yeah, she's the villain in that. But yeah, she's very naive in this. It's like you can tell like music is the only thing she's good at. She can sing, that's about it.
Oh,
Like-
and she slights him right there too, where she's like, "What does he look like?" And he's like, well, you might be disappointed." And she's like, "I don't care about looks. I care about musical talent." And he's kind of
He's like,
wounded
"Oh." He's
right
like,
there.
"Oh."
Like, oh, there's the face.
I mean, I would imagine she probably knows about his, piety. She's probably why I venture a guess she might have flirted with him a bit. She even kind of flirts with him a little here, but I think she kind of knows, okay, he's not gonna be hooking up with anybody that's his
I
thing.
wish they
but-
did. Yeah, I wish that they did a little bit more of that flirtatious when they were like when she was betrayed by Mozart. Uh, I thought that I felt a little bit of that flirtation that you mentioned with him, like like a vengeance to Mozart, I guess. But yeah, I wish that they went more into that because
Mhm.
she's not seen ever again. Is she? I mean, was
Yeah,
she
she's
singer?
in this scene. They
She's
they
singer,
even
right?
they add a lot to the director's cut obviously adds a lot to her part in this scene because it's much shorter than that. You do see her at the end. She's at the funeral. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Right.
this is the abduction from the Seraglio scene, which I think is awesome. This is I mean, if you want to call an opera a banger, this is a banger. This is great. It's so good. It's catchy. It's fun. It's
Another
like,
thing
yeah,
that's in the
Mozart's having a good
script,
time.
and I know you would hate this, and I'm glad that they did not put it in there because there's a lot of lines. Salieri's wife is in this movie, or is in this script, and
Mhm.
it's a non-speaking role, but it kind of goes against him talking about him giving his chastity and lusting after this.
I mean, I still
Opera
think you
singer
could have
right here.
achieved. I think if they had done that and gave him something else to give up to God, I think thematically you still could have made it work. I don't think it would have hurt it too much
I
if
mean,
you had reworked it, but it's
he
fine.
was
Yeah.
cast into he got married. That's
Yeah.
God's will. I guess that will be my interpretation.
Yeah.
Well, in the script, he mentions it was like, well, thankfully, like she wasn't really sweet on me, so I didn't have to,
Mhm.
It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of a weird.
But you're right.
Well, my
it
guess is
takes
if he
from
had
the
had an
cast
actual, if you're referring to the fact that he was sweet on this girl, yeah, if he had an actual wife, he might not have worried too much about this girl because it's like, oh, well, because you got to think
Yeah, you're
being
right.
his age and having never been with a woman, it's like, yeah, seeing a good-looking woman and her being your student probably is like, oh, that's probably messing with you a lot.
Yeah.
But, if you're married and you're actually getting to do that, when you go home, it's maybe not so
Yeah.
tough. I
And
mean,
those tight pants aren't that big of a deal, right? Velvet can be very revealing.
it's like master, raise the baton, raise the baton. It's already raised.
Yeah.
I also think it's interesting that this is done, that the song is in English, which I assume it, it wasn't, but it works well in English. It's actually pretty awesome. But yeah,
Okay, now in that one scene where she's like, break me, all that stuff,
hurt me, break
is
me, kill
that
me.
just what Salieri is imagining her to be singing?
I mean, I don't think he's imagining it. No, I think it's translated. It's translated dialogue, I think.
Oh, see, because I interpreted it as like, it was like this is what this buffoon is gonna do to this perfect angel. He's gonna ruin her. He's going to take her innocence. Something like that. I thought that was just kind of.
I think it was more just they were like focusing in on that little bit of that little piece of lyrics because I mean there is
Maybe it's both.
sensuality to it the way they portray it. So.
Maybe it's both. Maybe that's what they did, right? Because I don't think that I heard any other translation of the music or the the plays other than the funny play that was in the middle of his friend in the middle, like towards the end. Other than that, I don't recall them actually translating it. It was all in German, it was all in Italian,
Yeah, but the translation is correct. So
it is, yeah. And it's
Yeah,
oftenly translated when it's played on England in Anglo-Saxon countries.
Yeah.
Oftenly translated.
and here they're appraising his work here, and this is you see what Mozart values so much about what he loves about doing this is he likes to create something new that doesn't sound like what everyone else does. He is it's very innovative, and yet it's appraised as having too many notes, and that's where you get the little challenge from him, like which view did you have in mind?
Tim.
Yeah, how a teacher used to describe Mozart is as rebellious. He was trying to get out of the box, because music back then, and this is something I don't really like about classical music. I mean, well, music from the classical period. Let's just be more clear about that. Music from the classical period is just really formulaic, and that's why Salieri had so much he could do, and Mozart was a rebellious kind of person, and that's why all of his dialogues I think are brilliant, because they reflect who he is as a rebellious. That's why he did Figaro, and that's why he did the play in German. So yeah, he was rebellious, and he was trying to get out of the mold, get out of the box, and he did, but it cost him his life. But his sacrifice was for the greater good, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Music, yeah.
But yeah, this is also where we're introduced, where they bring on stage
Oh my God.
Constanza and her mother, who is hilarious.
Such a great actor.
She reminds me of the woman who won't stop screaming in the beginning of The Invisible Man.
He reminds
That's
me
like
of a woman
she does.
from
I will
Harry
admit
Potter.
she toes the line of being almost too comedic, but it does pay off in a way near the end where it's like, okay, yeah, that actually that does ultimately work. But yeah, she is as dotty a lady as it gets.
Oh my God.
It's pretty dang funny. But you also get I love the way because there's a bit of exposition in here. You're learning a bit about how he's not married, and it's like, we're waiting for my father's consent, and like, how old are you? And he's like 26, and he's like, well, I suggest you marry this fine young lady and stay here with us. You got the mother who like faints, and of course you got
Which
what's
will
her face
happen.
lady here like freaks out, and she like smashes the roses on him and stuff.
It will happen. Like if you meet like the emperor, I will faint. Like, well,
Oh yeah, it's like,
not
I mean,
nowadays, but back then, like if
it's a
so
big
accurate,
deal.
this scene was perfection. The
Now the
reaction of the
scene they
girl.
add in the dressing room with her is added on. That's tacked on. It basically, when she smashes and walks off, this is where Salieri would cut in and say, "At that moment, I knew he had her. He had my darling girl." And I'm like, this scene makes that line hold off way too long, because I'm like, because they turn it into another moment, being the moment of his realization. I'm like, that doesn't work. I don't
You're
like this
right.
scene either, to be honest. I don't
You're
care for
right.
it.
I thought the very same thing when I saw the very next scene when he says, "That's what I knew." He had her. I thought that.
Mhm.
Well, we already know, guy.
Yeah, it's
You
like,
already,
wow, it's like, really,
were-
it's
yeah.
like, you just now realized it? But yeah,
Yeah,
You
you're
now
just-
just realizing.
yeah, I think
That's
this,
why you were a virgin, brother.
yeah, it's like, I think you can infer most of what occurs here yourself as far as the emotional aspect of it. It's completely unnecessary. It's
Mhm.
not needed. If this one feels very out of place. This scene feels incredibly out of place.
Yeah, it does a little bit.
But yeah, I don't like it.
I didn't like also the pink wig. That is the only. It needs just a nitpicking. Is like that's the only thing that I didn't like. Sometimes the other colors in the wigs is kind of weird, but I don't know. Maybe it was a stylistic choice. I'm not sure if it's.
No, he wore wigs like that. It was like his,
Mm-hmm.
I guess like the punk rocker of the
Mm.
class.
No, yeah, no.
wear
The wigs like that, I agree. The wigs like that, I meant just like the colors. It's just like kind of weird seeing those tones during those ages. Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, but that's what he did.
yeah, it was just too bright. Yeah.
But yeah, this also where he's like, my heart, because my heart was filling up with such hatred for that little man.
I do love the priest's face throughout this entire performance, where he hasn't made up his mind whether it's Salieri's crazy or if he actually killed somebody.
Mm-hmm. And this is an added on scene. He's praying to have Mozart sent away. I think this scene could have worked. Like, it's probably the one that I dislike. I mean, I don't even dislike this part. I think there's a way in which that scene could have worked, but it's just because of the way the film is shot. I ultimately don't think it does. They're trying here with this added scene to set up what he ultimately does to Constanza here in a moment. But yeah, it's not a terrible scene. It's just it's out of place for what ultimately is is the story. Could have been done, but doesn't
I
work.
kind of like this scene, not gonna lie, but
Yeah,
yeah, I
in
agree.
in
It could have been cut
isolation,
out.
it's not a bad scene. In
Could have been
isolation,
cut
it's
out.
not
Yeah,
a
it
bad
could have been
scene.
cut out. It feels like a scene on the Exorcist, like Father. I
Like
don't know.
I might have even been okay with it if the stuff with Constanza wasn't in there. I might have been okay with it. It could have been done. Yeah, I would have tweaked the dialogue maybe a little bit, but
Yeah, it feels like a scene in another movie. I agree
yeah, it's
with
like
you.
this scene's not. This is the one that I dislike the least. It's fine. Like this one's okay,
Yeah.
I guess. I still am
This guy's
fine
a
with it being
weirdo
cut
to
out of the
me.
theatrical cut. I don't miss it.
Oh,
Yes.
yep. And there's the dad.
The fart guy.
I do like this scene where he's like, "Your kid's a brat," and he's like, "It's kind of
Yeah.
my fault.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
Michael
this is,
Jackson, dude."
oh yeah. Your son is an unmitigated, spoiled, conceited brat.
Yeah.
Great
Yes.
delivery. I love how he's constantly turning and bowing, walks a few steps, turn and bow, walks a few
Mhm.
steps, turn and bow.
You had to do that.
Yeah,
You
you
had
did.
to
I
do
was
that.
like,
Yeah.
it kind of shows just how ridiculous some customs were.
Mhm.
Like it's kind of silly. That's why I think they can
Yeah.
get away with some of the comedy is because there were aspects of that life back then that were sort of silly.
Yeah. And the comedy is like to the age is appropriate. It was not nothing that over the top. It was appropriate to the era. It didn't went to the extent that Hollywood maybe would take some things nowadays. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I need to look
Yeah,
at
it
the name.
was pretty
I always
questionable.
forget the name of the actor who plays his father, but he's really good in this.
Yeah, it's really good. I was
Really
scared of
good.
him. I was like,
Roy
oh, that
Doltrus,
would
that's
be
his
my
name.
alcoholic stepfather that would beat me and put me to play piano for the emperor.
I mean, yeah, Roy Doltrus also. He was like in Hellboy 2. I mean, he's a good actor. He was in
Mhm.
Game of Thrones. He's been a lot of stuff.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Look at those animals. Look at that. Some big old white.
Yeah.
What are those elk? Some,
And nowadays they will be
Stags.
CGI. If they do
yeah.
a remake, they will be CGI because they don't have real elves. Like
I know, Zach. I'm sorry. No. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
No black
I was
people,
gonna say
unfortunately.
something.
There actually
actually,
is a
Zach,
big place in
you're
France.
so funny, bro. I also thought about it and I laughed for a second because I thought for a second, bro, because when they are talking about the the opera, the one thing that was popular right there was the minstrel shows. You know that there were no black people, so when they were well, not black people, but Turkish people, they would do blackface for Turkish people because they were not allowed, I guess, in the theater. So they would put
Yeah.
fake Turkish people. I think I'm not sure if Mozart. I don't remember which. The one that speaks German. I don't remember the name, but I think they did. They didn't did. I'm sorry. They didn't do the blackface in this movie, obviously, but it was something that was kind of normal during those
Oh
days.
yeah.
I'm glad that
Yeah. Yeah.
They weren't
that
gonna
I
hire
hated
black
when
people to
that
be the
started.
actors, obviously.
yeah.
I just can't imagine seeing a period piece and going, "This is
But they were bold. Like
can't believe
I
this."
actually after we do the analysis, I'm gonna recommend you guys because I see that you guys really like this kind of stuff. There are some recordings of movies that they made movies of a lot of Mozart's operas. There's some of Don Giovanni and the Figaro one, and they are marvelous. The movies are basically I think that either they took some inspiration from of Amadeus or this director is familiar with one of those opera movies that they do and they used to do. It's just they are really good, so I'm gonna recommend you guys if you want to hear a little bit more about the operas of Mozart, which are brilliant. It's the best work. Actually, a lot of people say that he's one of the best opera composers ever.
Well, I mean, I know if you peruse a lot of greatest opera lists, Marriage of Figaro is #1 on quite a few of them.
Yeah,
And Don
and Don
Giovanni is
Giovanni.
obviously considered way up there. But yeah, I mean, Mozart would, I believe Mozart likely would have been considered the greatest composer if he'd simply lived longer, because he died when he was
Yeah,
35. But the
I
amount of work he had to his name, even at that age, was
well, still is
insane.
it still is deemed as the, you know, like I don't even know if there's like a greatest composer ever.
No,
you
I
know.
mean it's gonna be. I mean, music is highly subjective as far as taste is
Yeah.
concerned, but it's there's some aspects of it that are objective. It's like great when you hear it. I mean, it's especially with classical music. It's like, but yeah, Mozart was
yeah.
I
pretty
like this.
incredible.
He doesn't get upset that he has to teach a 15-year-old girl. He gets
He's upset that
because
he has to compete.
he's the obvious choice.
Mhm.
He's the
Mhm.
obvious choice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and to me, it's like, okay, since we're coming upon the director's cut scene that I dislike the most, I think this kind of stuff where they're building up that Mozart needs this pose. This is more than adequate setup for the later scene that comes between Salieri and his wife. Because
Mhm.
what the scene with the nudity and everything is meant to add more context to why she hates Salieri at the end, and I'm like, okay, I get that, but we had already had enough for that. And it's like they do more than enough work showing that he's bad with money. They have a lot of debt. And she watches Salieri see this music, calls it miraculous, and then he just leaves and he doesn't give it to him. And it's like, that's not only a massive slight to Mozart, it's like, wow, he could have helped us there. And he basically admitted in that moment, it's like, yeah, he was the best person for it, but he still didn't do it for them. It's like, I think that's more than enough context to why
Yeah.
she would hate him. That's more than enough. It's
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
didn't need to assassinate Salieri's character this early. 'Cause to me, it's far too much too quickly.
Yeah.
Far
Do you
too
want
much
to
too
talk
quickly.
about that scene or this one before?
Well, it's the one that follows this, because this is
Yeah.
the one they add to, because all of this is fine. All of this is from the theatrical cut. Her showing him the music, him feeding her those
How long is
The
chestnuts.
nipples. Yeah.
cut?
Huh?
What's the runtime on the director's cut?
Well, this is the director's
3
cut. It's 3 hours. It adds about
3 hours.
20-25 minutes to the
Yeah,
movie.
that's
So
about right.
Oh,
Yeah.
so that's what I watched on Amazon Prime.
yeah, the
Oh,
Amazon Prime
Netflix.
version is the director's cut. The theatrical
Yes.
cut you can basically only get on DVD.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's far superior.
Yeah.
Yes, Jana, Constanza is hot. I totally agree.
She is really beautiful. She's such a great actress as well.
Yeah,
I was mesmerized by her performance at all times. I was like, this is perfectly casted. And now that you mentioned that, it was basically just an act of God. Now I think that this movie was also an act of God. You know, an action or something that God gave to this world. Is perfect. It's beautiful. Mhm.
It's what also I think probably also bugs me about what they add after this is the fact that she does. This is the scene I think that I really was like, wow, she's giving, because up to this point, her character's been presented as a little silly, and you're kind of like, okay, she's probably not that smart. But then you get this scene, it's like, oh, she's actually very intelligent, but she's vulnerable. Like this, she gets to show her acting chops here, and it's like, oh, cool. I'm annoyed that she did not get an Oscar nomination. She did get a Golden Globe nomination, I'm pretty sure, but she should have gotten a Best Supporting Actress nomination for this. She's excellent, especially for all these freaking chestnuts she had to eat, which I'm pretty sure she said she got sick eating because she was like, these are very rich. It's some pretty rich sugar. So
Yeah, exactly.
I
What
imagine
was it
those are
called?
not that
the
good.
nipples of what?
Nipples of Venus.
The nipples of Venus.
You can see his face that he's watering, like his mouth is watering because of all the sugar.
Oh yeah, no, that's like his main thing. And, it goes on even greater length than the actual script. He actually, the way he describes some of these desserts and their makeup, it almost sounds like in American Psycho when he's talking about like his morning routine.
A little bit,
Like,
yeah. A little bit.
That's how elaborate it is.
Okay, so
Well,
there is kind of
almost in a way that he talks about music.
Yes, yeah. But I like the American Psycho reference better.
Yeah. Oh, this part. Oh my gosh.
Oh God, the acting.
Whoever edited this collection of pieces of his music together, like there should have been a separate Oscar invented just for that, because I mean it flows so perfectly. Just every time he turns the page, new piece of music, and this is acted so well,
Yeah.
and it's
And we can
great.
get to the when they are doing the end bit. There
That's
had
really
to
good.
be a director there. There had to be a definitely there had to be an actual orchestra director there directing that scene with the music and the entrances. There's no way that they didn't, because it's just so technical. But this scene, like you mentioned, the editing of the music is sublime. I never heard something to the literally so perfect to the teeth.
And the fact that F. Murray Abraham, he's doing the visual aspect of the acting as the younger self, his reaction to it, and then the dialogue he's delivering over it is just excellent. It's so good.
Mhm.
It's so good the way he describes us. He's first just describing how shocking it is. He goes, "These are first and only drafts of music." He goes, "They show no correction of any kind." And he's like, "And music finished in a way that no music has ever finished." He's like, "Displace one note, and it's like there would be diminishment, displace one phrase, and the structure would fall." It's like, it's so good. I absolutely love this scene.
I had to watch the making of this movie. It's so interesting. It's gonna be so interesting. I had to know how they made it.
But yeah, and that's why it's like, and maybe that's probably part of the other reason why what they add to the scene bugs me, is because this is one of my favorite parts of the whole film. It's so beautiful and sad in a way, because this is the moment where he is turned against God, and they didn't
I
need to
don't
add
know
anything
how.
to it.
I don't know how they got all those wrinkles on his face.
Oh, it's excellent. It's so good.
It's just great.
Oh, you
Do
can
you
only
know,
get
Nadia?
It's latex. It's latex. It's
Yeah.
layered latex. I learned how to do it in school. Same technique, because it's
Okay.
right around that same time. It's latex stretched, and then just adding different textures with sponges to give those like liver spots and things. So yeah,
Mhm.
probably a
And is
prosthetic
it put on
nose.
in a way that when he wrinkles his brow, it just wrinkles up more? Is that
Yeah, if I'm correct with the latex, yeah, because it'll just move with his natural skin. But I
right?
think
Okay.
his nose is a prosthetic.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, I
or at
think
Yeah.
least
so.
part of
It's
it.
too
Yeah.
round. Yeah.
Mhm. But it works. Oh, and
Yeah.
that's such a good line there too. He's like, "I'm staring through the cage of those meticulous ink strokes and an absolute beauty." And it's like, this is the perfect way to end this scene. You don't have to add anything. Him dropping it and her saying, "Is it not good?" He's like, "It is miraculous.
It is miraculous.
It's
So it
perfect."
ends like right here.
Well, he does that, and she's like, "Yes, he's very proud of us. So you'll help us," and then he walks away. That's how the scene is supposed to end.
Oh,
But
okay.
instead, because it's director's cut, it keeps going, and it's like it meanders and completely changes the context of it needlessly. It, like I said, it kind of breaks his character. 'Cause I'm like, him going this far this quickly, I do not like at all. I really
Yeah.
don't like it, especially because it's a incredibly risky move to do that. It's like, what if she goes home and tells her husband this? You can get caught up in a
Yeah.
scandal pretty quickly here, dude. It's out of character, and again, it's needlessly
Yeah.
adding to what's a perfect scene.
I gotta say I have a hot take, because I like that scene because I hated it. I
I
like
hear you.
I hated it, and I liked hating it. I the acting, the music, the drama. It was just like I don't know. And then his reaction when he thinks the bell and is like, "Take this girl out of here," and she's like, and then she throws the. I don't know. It was
I mean, no, it
both
is
of them.
well acted. There is no bad acting
Yeah.
in any scene. But yeah,
And these
right
when he's
cinematically, I
praying,
think it's badly written and it's needless.
I don't know. I like hating it. I love hating it. I actually liked it, and when it was happening, I didn't like it. I didn't like that. I was like, no, why you do this to Salieri? It doesn't make sense. I agree. It doesn't make
Like I
sense
think here's the thing:
historically.
if they had
It
done
doesn't
this
make
kind of
sense.
thing later in the film when he's already kind of turned against Mozart and he's well into this enmity with God, it probably would have made more sense. But it's so soon. It's immediately. It's like, wow, y'all really haven't built
I
to
thought
this.
it fell
The only way I could
after.
justify
Yeah,
that being so quickly done is because of how Mozart. He had assumed that he had,
took her. Yeah,
relations with the singer.
exactly.
So it was
That's
kind
why I
of like
thought it. Yeah,
a
that's why I
comeback,
thought it was in
a
like in a good
revenge.
place. Like if they did it maybe later, yeah,
Boosh.
maybe.
Just
If
I
keep
they
that
was,
agree,
up there
Boosh.
for
oh,
Beard.
it looks really
Beard,
good.
keep that
It
up
looks
there
really
for a minute while I skip past this part.
The nudity.
I don't know if anybody wants to see, but I did pull up some old makeup that I did, like old people makeup to show
love to see it,
the
yeah.
Yes,
latex.
I would love to see that.
good.
And
Mhm.
it's
Also-
during school, so don't think it's like it's not
All
on
right,
set.
Beard.
or anything.
It's better so we see the making of.
Guys,
You know.
we're gonna have to do a part 2 of this.
What are you talking about?
I would love that, and we can talk as well of the
So,
play.
Yeah, part two will be when we do this movie again on my channel in September.
So she's
I'm in.
21, so please mind that this is during school, so this is not finished product, but as you can see, like the wrinkles around the eyes and stuff, I don't know if it can be shown bigger
It's
in the
really
liver
good,
spots and the hands. So that's all layers of latex. So that's probably what they used back in 1984 and when he scrunched his face. That's why.
Looks pretty dang good. Well,
You can
done.
actually see
Yeah,
in
it does.
the Blu-ray if you squint and you get closer, you can actually see the edges. And I was thinking like, damn, for the 19, what was it, 19 million?
1984.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It was
Mhm.
really good, and for the budget, it was insanely
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Like I was like, I didn't even care that it was like you can see the edges because you can see that they try really hard to hide it. It's barely like you can even see it on freaking Walter's white head sometimes.
Part of it is also the wig. The wig is probably a problem as well.
Exactly.
Yes.
because-
Mhm,
Yeah.
the week.
Plus, I
Had
have a
to.
very well going. Oh, sorry. I go keep talking because I'm sorry I interrupted there.
Well, you're good. You're good. That's all I had.
Sorry,
Oh, it was perfect addition.
Jacob was
Um,
scrolling and I saw that and I was like, that's another reason I don't like this scene because I have a hard time believing she never would have fessed up, especially that reaction. It's like, okay, what's wrong? What the heck did she tell him? It's like she was
No,
clearly
it
distraught.
was no. I thought it was perfect. Like back then, if
Ugh.
you told you, like I don't know, it was just going to be. I mean, the acting was mesmerizing.
I just suggest watching the
The
theatrical cut.
only thing,
Watch the theatrical cut.
yeah.
It flows so much better. It's
Wait.
more than
So
enough.
wait. So this scene is in the theatrical cut.
This part is
When-
okay.
when-
So
when she's
okay, so
playing.
her reaction that's not in there. Her crying that's all out of it. Basically, when he walks away after she said, "Will you help us?" He leaves her, and it cuts right to here where he's burning the cross.
I don't know. I think
Okay.
I think that's
this need
significantly better.
context. I think
I'm
it's
just saying, watch a theatrical version. Because it keeps it about the music. It keeps it about that. That is the source of his enmity and his envy is the music. And I think this flows together so much better.
I
That way.
know. I agree, but
I'm just saying,
and
just
I
watch it.
agree,
Just-
but
you
I
can
love
compare
it. I just love seeing her reaction. I love seeing her crying, and why was he crying? It was. I thought that it was worth it just to see her acting.
This is added to,
in
by
my
the way.
opinion.
This scene is added to.
Oh,
This
I
is
didn't
another
like
part.
that
I
scene.
don't like this. They add
Yeah, I
this
didn't
scene.
like that scene at all.
He's
Yeah,
basically
you're
saying,
right.
"Oh, he's molesting people." I'm like, "Oh gosh, okay, wow, we're going all in with this." I
Oh,
don't like it. I don't
what
like
happens in movies happens in the real life.
it. I don't care for this. It's like because they've
Hmm.
Salieri is supposed to be somebody who is he's not full. It's like okay, he's a villain, but he's complex. You have empathy for him. Here, he's pretty much full blown villain. And I don't like it. I think him having more
What was
complexity
added?
than a simple villain is way better. This scene's not there either. This is like all of this is added. All of this is added. It's tacked
Oh, all
on.
of this is added. You're right. I didn't like
Everything
that at
here is
all as
added
well.
on.
I didn't like that at
his
all. Yeah.
the scene where he's teaching the girl and there's all the dogs, that's added on. It's I don't
Oh,
like that.
I hated that scene.
That's probably that. While I dislike the previous scene more, the dog scene is the worst added scene. Objectively, it's
Yes.
awful.
That scene
It
made me
was a
stop
little
watching
funny
the
to see the
movie.
guy from Dune in there, but
Yeah,
it's
that scene made me
Yeah.
stop watching the movie and said,
Baron.
"Okay, I'm done for today. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow. The rest." And then I watched the rest, and the rest is like genius. Well, there's like one or two parts that are added, like you mentioned, that are not that good, but the rest of the movie is holy moly guacamole. I was not expecting any of that.
like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, even if when you're watching the theatrical cut, if you still maybe like that particular scene, I still think overall I would have a hard time believing anybody who's compared them would pick the director's cut over the theatrical. It flows so much nicer.
Yeah, I mean, I would
That's why I'm
only
so blown away. It's
just
so hard to
because of
find.
that scene.
Yeah,
I would only just because of that scene, and the rest is not that good. But only for that scene, I would say is worth it because of the acting of that girl. I would say,
yeah, her acting's great, and I will grant her that she's
Yeah.
fantastic in it. But
yeah,
my hope is that that Criterion Collection will take on this movie and just put both cuts on a Criterion version.
Yes.
I think
yeah.
most people that
I
love
have
this
to be
movie do.
honest.
Mhm.
Huh?
I have to be honest. I would like to try this dessert they have here.
Yeah,
Me
that's
too.
pretty
It's
good.
like
Me
cream
too.
cheese and sugar with rum. It's like,
Bro,
oh yeah.
me too. I was
Seems
looking at
easy
it and I
enough.
was like, bro, that is the only one that I wanted to try. Well, there was like some tartines or something like that. But this one that I was like most intrigued by the most for some reason. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
it looks having fun eating that dessert.
Yeah.
I would say skim past all of this. It's needless. It's like
Yeah,
bleh.
yeah. You're
It's-
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
was
bad fat. This is
But we can keep gushing about the movie, how good it is.
well. Let's get to the good scenes. Yeah, this all this. Gosh, this scene's so bad.
So bad. I hated it. I hated it.
Yeah, this is
As mildly
like
artistic-
the only solace I take in this scene is
Yeah.
is the look of
Oh.
annoyance on his face because I share it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He is done it perfectly there. That's what a musician would
I didn't
react
notice that.
like if
The,
a dog
the-
start barking to your face when you're playing marvelous music. Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you say you didn't
Is
notice?
that Mozart in the painting? I thought that was Mozart in the painting behind him.
I don't think
Uh,
so, but
They all look the same. They all look the same back then.
Yeah.
all those white
No,
people
I
look
wanted
the
to
same.
add something so it makes it like more interesting what you're like running around. I wish that in these scenes where they show this, which are unnecessary, and I thought that they were going to be necessary, and that's why I hated it more because I thought that they were going to show
Nadia.
how Mozart, and well, not only Mozart, but many composers will make music for their students, so they play it, and they will make sometimes easier music or music that is meant to instruct you or to teach you how to play. There are a lot of, especially Bach. Bach was the master of this. He was basically the teacher of every musician after him, and yeah, a lot of probably Salieri, and this is something that I wanted to see, and I didn't see Salieri composing something to teach their students as well as the opera singer student and all of those. I wish that they maybe show something that I'll mention it. I composed this new piece for you to sing, which was really, really, really normal, and which was something that when you had an affair or you had those rumors that you liked someone and that was your student, you would compose things to that person so they will sing, definitely. And yeah, but you're basically done with the scene, right?
I'm sorry.
Is this
say
all
that again?
added? Is this all added?
Well, no.
Yeah, this is all.
Yeah.
This is all good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, basically the scene would cut from I think after he burns the cross and everything, all that added stuff would cut out. It's when he's walking, drinking the bottle. That would be the actual next cut.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
So basically, just him, showing him being a little drinky.
Yeah.
Like a little drinky. He walks up and his father's there, and that little hint of Don Giovanni. Just
I
great.
like that scene too. It's like a like a
Mhm.
dark cloud comes over.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
then he,
such a
appreciate
great setup too.
everyone on the panel's love for this movie because the more we dive into this, the more I'm like, you know what? I really don't like this movie. But I
Racist.
appreciate you. I appreciate how much
She's a
you all love
racist.
this
She's a
movie.
racist.
Against what? White people? Like,
You
Yes.
hate Mexicans.
You're a racist against white musicians, obviously.
And Ginger,
Viennese drunk
I
white musician.
And you're racist against my cat because his name is Mozart.
You had white male blindness.
Yeah.
white male blind.
No, but I when you were saying in the beginning, I totally agree. Before I will fell asleep, and I actually hated it until the first hour of the movie, and then I started to love hating it, and then absolutely loved it. So yeah, I went through some phases of denial and
And
acceptance.
I like period pieces, even even fictional or fantasy, whatever genre you want to lay this into. Like I do enjoy it. I just think maybe because I saw the director's cut that it got lost in a lot of fluff added, and it could have just been even 2 minutes, 2 hours and 40 minutes. I feel like you could do this movie in 2 hours well without all the extra fluff. But
It's probably
I would
minus
keep
the
it 2
credit,
hours and
right?
40 minutes because the
2 hours,
2 hours and
like
40 minutes, they
30,
did it
perhaps.
perfectly.
Yeah.
The 2 hours and 40
But
minutes, they did
again,
it perfect.
I appreciate how much you all love this movie.
The non-racist.
I think I think the makeup and the costume designs are fantastic. The set design's beautiful. I just fell asleep with both viewings, so not for me.
Yeah, I understand why you fell asleep. Yeah, I fell asleep. Star Wars, the original trilogy.
I love the
Kick
dad.
Angry Mexican out of here now. Original trilogy falling asleep. Get out of here.
Yeah, I like how
Third
the
one?
dad's
You don't tell me
costume
that you
reflects
fall asleep
the
nowadays if you watch the third one. I mean the sixth one.
statue in
made
Don
the mistake.
Giovanni.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is we get introduced to Simon Callow's character, which, like y'all said, in the plays he got to play Mozart. He did audition for the movie role as well, but he obviously got this role instead. But yeah, they're having their little party stuff, and his father is trying to get him to go back to Salzburg, and meanwhile you've got Salieri, who's kind of like spying on them and just kind of watching things unfold.
His eyes. Check his eyes when he's all of this scene. I was like, bro, his eyes, bro. He's not blinking. He's like Galadriel vibes, bro. He's holy moly, his eyes. I know for a fact that he was looking at the recording and he saw himself on the mic and he said, I don't show that much emotion. I had to open my eyes more, and that's why in the entire scene he's like with the eyes wide open, and even more when Mozart does the Salieri, which I feel embarrassed to say that I meant.
that's
I
really good,
saw
James.
before-
It's awesome. How
I
much?
saw before in the Simpsons. I mean, I saw before in the Simpsons.
Gord is like, I am on my way.
By the way, you guys saw the Simpsons episode, right? Where they do Mozart?
I'm sorry,
Amadeus?
what now?
Do you saw the or watch the Simpsons episode where they do Mozart Amadeus?
I think so a while back. It's been a long time though.
Rewatch it. It's kind of accurate. I remember.
Oh yeah, they
I
did. They did a
thought that I
great
watched
job.
the movie before watching it because I saw the.
I actually think they missed an opportunity. They could have done an Amadeus thing with SpongeBob. That would have been great because there are things in SpongeBob with Squidward that they could have made him Salieri and
Oh
there's the art episode of SpongeBob where he's great
Yep.
at art despite Squidward being very by the book and he doesn't have his natural talent. I'm like,
I really
you
like
should
that
have just
episode,
done
by the way.
Amadeus. That would have been great.
I remember that episode fondly. One of my
And then I
favorite
knew it was God mocking me.
It was Neptune
was
mocking me.
God.
It was Neptune.
And that line is perfection. I haven't heard a line so good because I haven't watched good movies in a while. I've gone through. I love watching terrible movies. So when I watched this movie, it was like such a fresh breath of fresh air. So yeah, I haven't heard a line so perfect in a while. Yeah.
But yeah, this is a young Cynthia Nixon here. That's a young
Yeah.
Cynthia Nixon. Amadeus Bob. Oh, it's SpongeBob Amadeus SquarePants. That's what I literally used to call him that because I was like, dude, I
Gord,
actually wrote
Gord,
a
we can make
SpongeBob
this.
Amadeus script before. Yeah, I
We-
wrote a script when I was younger. I wish I'd kept it because it wasn't half bad. I just couldn't keep it at 22 minutes. It was probably like 40 minutes long, but that's fine.
It's on a special or like a part
Oh my
two,
God.
part special, you know, and
Yeah.
even
That's the director's cut.
Yeah,
the-
but a good one. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, Sandy. You know, there might have been some. No, I'm just kidding. That would have been crazy.
Oh, that
Oh my
girl
God,
acting,
yeah.
by the way, is so good. Like that girl acting is so freaking good. The one that is like, you know, the maid. Holy, I
Yes,
thought that
that's yeah.
perfectly
She's one of the main actresses on Sex and the City. Eventually,
There's just too many notes, my boy.
yeah, that's Cynthia
I
Nixon.
didn't know she was that girl that I don't know the name because I haven't watched Sex and the City because I'm a man.
I haven't seen it either, but
I'm joking,
I
I'm
know like they used to play that syndicated it on Fox, and I only had 5 channels for a while, and that was on there, and I saw them enough times, and then she showed up on an episode of Hannibal, and I was like, oh, that's that girl from Sex and the City. What's her name? Cynthia Nixon. I was like, oh, okay. Then I was like, oh wait, she's an Amadeus.
Okay,
I can say respectively, I have
I have
never
to-
seen an episode of Sex in the City. at all.
Yay!
Woo, me neither. I watched the movie in a plane, and
neither.
that's why
I would have
recognized-
crashed the plane.
I almost
You should have watched Barbie
Open the door.
instead.
Boo! Crash the
I
plane
was
again.
watching the baby cry instead.
Barbie.
But yeah.
Oh, you didn't like Barbie, Nadia?
No, she loves
No,
Barbie.
she likes Barbie.
Oh, she loved
I loved
Barbie?
it. Yes. Yes, I know. I'm the only one.
You take
On
No,
the
your
I
Facebook
daughter
page.
out in
love
that stupid speech, and I'm there for it.
You know what? My feeling with Barbie was the same feeling that I got when I was watching this deleted scene that you hate. It was that I love hating it. You know, I love hating Barbie because I was a Barbie girl growing up. I was a Barbie boy. I watched the movies, you know, the animated movies and all of those. And I really like Barbie, but I hated it because I liked it. So
You hate
My
watched it.
my feeling was
it was
more
not a bad
like
movie. That's the problem. I was expecting a bad movie. It was not a bad movie, so I hated it because of that. But I loved it.
my feeling was more akin to like having a stomach full of bad Taco Bell. something
More
like that.
akin.
Yes.
Oh,
Well,
Taco Bell.
exactly.
Angry Mexican, you're definitely a Ken, but not Gourd.
I'm okay with that. Ken's a cuck.
I felt as
Ken
a
enough.
Ken. I have a in my channel. I have a cover of the Ken song. I'm just Ken, but I try changing it. I'm a man, so it's like a parody. It's a fun one, but yeah, love hating.
Now Salieri here's got Cynthia Nixon basically running reconnaissance, trying to figure out what he's doing
Yeah.
for work, and he discovers that he's writing an opera based on the banned play "The Marriage of Figaro," which he has been very
Why was
secretive
it?
about.
Is it because of dancing? Is
Well,
it because
no,
of the
it was
dancing?
Figaro. Like
No.
the idea, like I don't actually even know if it's historically accurate that it was banned at this time, but it was banned because it stirred up tension in the classes.
Right,
The ballet
Yeah.
part was also part of it that was banned, but for separate reasons. But then, of course, they restore that. But yeah, this is the part where he's basically realizes that his work's been found out.
Operas at the time
Actually,
basically focused on
he was
like
banned.
gods or like larger than life characters. and
Legends.
They thought it was they thought nobility
It was.
didn't think that anyone would like to see them like in like the laymen doing like their day-to-day jobs. They just couldn't wrap their mind around that.
The Marriage of Figaro was banned during that era in Vienna
There you go.
by Emperor Joseph II. Yes,
There
since
you
the
go.
peace. Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
It was, and this is the English National Opera. It's not like, you know, it's not a bad source. It's the English National Opera. So yeah, it was banned during that time, so it's accurate. And a lot of people complain about the inaccuracies. The accuracy is impressive.
There are more accuracies than most
Yeah,
people
yeah. The
realize. It's
accuracies-
just some of the
yeah,
accuracies
100%.
get repurposed for other reasons, but
Yeah, and this is one of the accuracies that I like the most because I said not only the German part, the German as well, it was perfectly done. But yes, exactly. It was actually banned, and that's why when I knew that my teacher mentioned that this was perfectly done. It was one of her favorite scenes. She had nothing to do against it, so I guess that was her favorite scene
The
because
scene does have my
yeah,
favorite. This scene has my favorite line in the film and of all time. I think it's a beautiful line. It's where he says, "Forgive me, I'm
I'm
not. I'm a vulgar man, but I assure you, my music is not." It's an excellent sentiment.
sweet.
And what I also love about this scene is it's almost a confessional line, and yet Salieri's not there to hear it. Um, which I think
Yeah.
is very interesting because that's precisely what Salieri hates about him, is that he is a vulgar man and that
Mhm.
his music isn't. And you almost would wonder, it's like, gosh, if he had heard Mozart admit that, would it have changed his mind a little bit about him? Is that he has that bit of
Repentance. Yeah.
self-awareness, you know?
Repentance. Maybe that's why he's not there. Yeah? Maybe
Oh
the
no, that's
director.
what I'm saying. Is I think it's intentional that he
Exactly.
isn't. I mean, granted, part of the reason he isn't there is because he's the one who ratted him out, and you know,
Ah,
that's part of the reason. But I think also that line, it's hard for me to believe that that wasn't intentional, that they left him out of the scene, because I think that line is precisely the sentiment that he has, and him confessing that, I think, would, even if it didn't change his mind about him, it at the very least would make him, make it harder for him to do what he does.
yeah. I mean, I disagree because I think Mozart is in this point. Mozart is the son of, he's a son of God. So he's talking. I mean, I'm not using the right terminology here. I'm not that religious, but I think that he is God in this moment. His music is God. So his fight is with Mozart because Mozart is the voice of God. So yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Gord, that it would definitely change. And I probably think that the director had in mind, at least thought about it, perhaps.
Yeah, it's more just the idea of, like, I think Milos Forman was intentionally making sure that Salieri would not hear him admit that about himself.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this is
exactly.
where he finds out there is ballet in it, and he's like,
Beautiful.
he starts tearing it out, and he's like, "What are you
Beautiful.
doing?" And then he goes and tells him, he goes, "I was so angry that I threw the score into the fire." He's like, "You burned the score?" And he's like, "Oh no, Stanzi saved it in time." He's like, and he just, that in that real sardonic tone, he's like, "Thank God." Like, of course, it's like, of course somebody saved the score. He's like, it's like, oh, it almost didn't get made. It's like he almost sabotaged himself, and he's like, "Well, of course God saved your music."
Well,
It's
this
such a
this
well
goes
delivered line.
into a really good
His face,
example
I
of
love it.
how duplicitous
Mhm.
Salieri is right here,
Yeah.
where and I think to some degree he does want to help him, and there's a chance for him to act, and it ends up just working itself out. But
Mhm.
so because at as we go along, under this, and Mozart thinks that Salieri is his friend. I know it's not revealed until the very end, but at the whole time,
Yeah.
even though Mozart regards himself as a better musician, and the
I would
whole
more say
movie
that he
does.
hopes he's his friend, because he does say
Yeah.
later, he's like, "I honestly
Oh,
thought you
Yeah.
didn't like
but
me," but it's like, I think he
yeah.
more hopes he's his friend, that he's wrong about him. But go ahead.
No, that I'm just saying, it was like, that's my, so when he's confiding in him, and saying how stupid the emperor is, and it was like he's hoping that he's going to act, and Salieri doesn't kind of know if he's going to do it, but then it resolves itself, and he kind of weasels his way out of it.
Hmm.
Yeah, Jay, you're absolutely
Oh,
right.
there he
I
is
think
getting
at first,
patted
like,
down.
I don't mean to say
Yeah.
that he was hopeful when he said he burned it. I think I agree. His tone is almost like, "Oh my gosh, something that like that was destroyed." But then when he finds that he wasn't, he's just like, "But I'm disappointed anyway, because of course God would save your music. Of course he would." But okay, I'm not going to lie. When you get to the fourth act, that the part that they show, it puts me in tears every time. The way it's being described, it's absolutely beautiful. I love this part. Just the music is excellent, and there is kind of the comedic and tragic edge to it, that Salieri sees this as a moment of defeat, But yeah, the music in this scene is just breathtakingly good. It's so amazing. But then of course he gets his little moment of triumph because Emperor Joseph basically is Nadia. I mean, he's yawning during this.
How'd you
Yeah.
know? How'd you know?
That's how I'm gonna think of Nadia for this particular movie. It's like, she's just Emperor Joseph in The Marriage of Figaro. It's
I love that you
the
changed your
greatest
profile
opera of
picture.
all time, but she's bored by it.
I mean, someone will say Don Giovanni, but yeah. I understand why he does it. Like normal people don't have the ear to like even nowadays. I've seen people that are forced to go to opera and they hate it because he's like,
Well, I don't think it's that he hates opera. It's just, Mozart is somebody who does new things, and the kind of the hard part about doing new things is
oh yeah,
it's often not accepted, at least not at first. I mean, there are
Mhm.
some people that's just not what they're interested in. They like the familiar.
no,
They
of
like
course he doesn't
they
straight
like the
up.
grandiose, and even Salieri is kind of pointing out here is like you didn't give them good bangs to let them know when to cheer. It's like that's not his approach, and that's the kind of thing that Emperor Joseph probably likes. Is he likes to be moved emotionally and big ups and downs. He likes to have his hand held a bit.
That's a good reference. That's a good reference.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
It's-
impossible. No, but what I meant is that the excess of notes is really hard to follow up by a normal person, even nowadays. That's why I say that some people will find opera boring because of that, specifically because of the virtuosismo, virtuoso, right? It's too much grandioso, like you mentioned. And some people cannot handle it because it's too much. It's just too much sometimes. And this was the first piece that really caught my attention. I was like, okay, I heard this before.
Yeah,
I
this
heard
is Aksher, King of Ormus. This is his grand opera. Which, gosh, I love this scene because he's getting the ultimate praise. He's being told
Mhm.
by Emperor Joseph, "This is the greatest opera yet written." Everybody loves him for it. By the way, it's an awesome piece of music. They have this on
yeah.
the Amadeus soundtrack. It's
yeah.
really
I've seen
good.
it.
Do you want to know the
Really,
truth?
really
This is actually the only thing that you study from Salieri
Yeah.
in music school when you're going through that period, and you don't
Well,
really talk
and there's
about.
that part at the
Yeah,
beginning which shows him remembering composing. It's the same opera, so you're just getting little pieces
exactly,
of it.
exactly, and
I
that is
didn't
the
think
only
he did.
opera that you study about him, and you study it because it's the only opera that we compare to Figaro. I mean, in at least at the time that would be as harmonically complex as Figaro. Then
Yeah,
he was a genius of harmony. By the way, Salieri was a genius of counterpoint and harmony.
yeah, and he was
Uh,
an excellent
yeah,
tutor. He was an excellent
also,
tutor.
it was
Yeah.
very,
3 of his favorite
Yep.
or most famous students is what is it?
I think
Franz
Beethoven.
Liszt, Franz Schubert, and Ludwig van Beethoven.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
It
yeah,
looks like
I'll be
she's
there.
giving the baby coffee.
kind of does.
She does.
and that's
Like,
actually
I'm
the
gonna
only
pour
time
gravy on this baby.
Salieri is
One thing
just
back to, I do want to have one little other thing about that scene. What's also sad about it is because right before they start playing the opera, he does honestly hope that Mozart approves of it. He goes, he kind of meekly asks, I would like you to view my new piece. It would be a great honor. He's dead sincere there. He would love to have Mozart's approval because you can tell he's probably been working on this for a long time and probably had him in mind. And then after it, he's like, did my work please you? And you can tell Mozart wants to be nice, but he can't hide that he thinks it's just kind of eh. He's just like, I never knew that music like that was possible. And it's a very underhanded compliment. It's like,
Yeah,
that's gotta hurt. Like
yeah.
all of
yeah.
those people love your work, but the one who's the genius in the room is just like,
What's that line he says? It was like God put that want in me, and then He made me mute.
yeah, he's
So
like,
like,
God put that desire in me like a lust in my
yeah.
body and made me
so
mute.
so to have the one person who you think has that touch from God do that for you, and give you like a backhanded compliment like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's got to be absolutely crushing.
Yeah, and then right
There-
after he finds out his father dies, boom, they hit you with Don Giovanni.
And Don
Sure.
Giovanni, they're recording this in the same opera house that I believe it was in Prague.
Yeah, this is the opera
And
house where it was played.
yep, yeah, that is the actual opera house where this piece of music was played. So
I mean,
I think that,
musically, it's basically a chapel. I mean, it's.
yeah.
I know there was also a lot of concerns because with all the candles that were there. And I know there's footage of during one of these performances that this guy here in the red catches on fire. His little feather on his cap
Oh,
caught
I know
on
about
fire. He
that.
didn't realize it for a few seconds. But oh my gosh, I remember I watched this. A friend of my brother's, he was one of our roommates for a little while, and he had never seen the movie. And if you have the theatrical version, you have to flip the disc in order to watch the second half, so it ends after this opera. And I remember after it was finished, he was silent for a few seconds, and as he was just like, wow, like he just was like dumbstruck by it. I was like, oh good, you're liking it. He wasn't a Nadia. And just watching him break down over this, because he's just like the madness began in me. I started to, see a way in which I could triumph over God. I also love the little part where he's like, through my influence, I ensured that Don Giovanni was played just 5 times, but in secret, I went to every one of those 5. He was just like, I think he said he's worshiping the sound. It's like, yeah, it's that. I mean, music is basically his God. That really is what his God is.
Yeah, Salieri is the original frenemy.
Uh-huh. He was the mean girl, the first mean girl.
Yeah, he's the mean girl.
He saw the mean girl, the fat one, and the other one that is just the mean girl. I love it. I love it.
He's
Yeah.
just
And I
sitting
agree
in
with
the sitting in the balcony like, God is so mocking me.
yeah. Because God, music is the language of God, and this is something that a lot of musicians has theorized, and a lot of people that do metaphysics. Yeah, metaphysics has theorized that music is one of the languages of the gods or of the God, right?
I mean, Tolkien
And
said
I
the same
agree.
thing.
Yeah, Tolkien.
I
Yeah,
agree. I agree.
same thing of mine.
I agree. Probably you hear music when you die. I hope that is the fact. It will be a more peaceful death.
And this is a dark opera. It's basically the Don Juan story played out to a horrifying conclusion. Like I highly
Yeah.
recommend finding a performance of this on YouTube. There's a couple of really excellent ones.
Oh, don't worry. I'm gonna recommend you some of those. Yeah, don't worry. I'm gonna recommend you some of those. I can send you to on Twitter or private message out to the
Yeah.
group.
Oh yeah, definitely DM me.
Yeah, I will send you some of those that
definitely.
are
Yeah.
not only great, but that are studied in university. Like actually, like you can see that these are the legit best representations of Mozart's.
I even love the fact that Salieri is the one person in the audience who gets how wonderful this is, and that the audience is just kind of, clapping just out of
That's
they're
why
just,
it's
just like,
perfect. That's
we'll give him a
perfect
little pity clap here because what the heck
Yeah.
did we just watch? But yeah, it's so
That's why
good.
it's great storytelling. That's why it fits so perfectly. Salieri is the one because, I mean, well, Haydn back then was pretty popular, and I feel a little bit out of place when they don't mention Haydn. I'm like, okay, they mention Handel, they don't mention Bach though, so it's kind of weird. But yeah, Salieri being there is just perfect storytelling. That's why it fits remarkably.
And here he's got the costume on that his father wore, but the side facing him is the sad face, which they played Don Giovanni when he hits. I mean, that becomes kind of the musical motif of most of the rest of the film up to the Requiem.
Yeah, I think it's played at 4 choice points in the film.
And by the way, this is while Salieri was not the person to do this, it is believed that there was a count, an Austrian count, who did commission work from composers and passed it off as his own, and it is believed that the Requiem Mass might have been one of those pieces. And while Salieri was not the person there helping Mozart to put it on paper, that also is based likely on fact it was probably one of his students that helped him with that. But yeah, it's part of
I
this
mean, the best what
is
you
based
just
on
mentioned
fact.
are the best theories in musicology that they have to this day. Is the best theories that it's called. The guy was called. I have it here.
You're talking about the
Anton
Count?
Leitgeb, and
Yeah.
he had a lot, and a lot of people even said that some maybe Bach, but he pretended to be a composer of many things that he didn't.
hmm
He was the one. He did it for his wife Anna. He was his wife passed away, so that's why he ordered Mozart to do that. And he was going to use it as his own. Constanza basically had to beg for like a decade for him to give Mozart the credit of the Requiem.
Yeah.
And yes, you are right. The pupil Maya was the one that ended up finishing Lacrimosa completely and ended up composing based on the and basically what they show us on the last parts of the life of Mozart in the movie is what Sussmayer was writing with Mozart, and that's the only direction that he had to finish the Dies Irae. Mhm.
And then here we get to him going to basically a parody of his operas, which I like that Kenny Baker's the one on the horse, the guy who plays R2D2. That just makes me laugh.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
That's Kenny
I
Baker.
didn't know.
It's
That's so
R2D2.
There's so much cool stuff in this movie that is
Yeah.
like Easter eggs. So good that you know it.
But yeah, it's a funny little farcical play, which this made me like Mozart a lot more, that he could laugh at his himself. He doesn't take himself too seriously. His wife is kind of half enjoying it, but
she's not
feels a
liking
bit
it.
slighted too, because he's like, I don't like what they're doing.
But
to
first, he
what-
has a reaction where he doesn't like it. Like when he first hears Don Giovanni, he doesn't like it, and then he's just like, "Okay, whatever. It's just funny." And he's
Which
like,
that's
I think
well,
he
and
sees
that's
that
a
the
good
people are
little.
enjoying it.
it's a good thing. Yeah,
That's
it's a good thing.
borderline PTSD, because it probably was that brief moment of it reminded him of his father, and then he's like, oh, okay, back into comedy. Good. I can settle.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think if anyone would have enjoyed it, it would definitely be Mozart. Just just from his sense of humor alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I gotta go, guys.
Oh,
I know.
Aw.
that's too bad.
Yeah. What are your final thoughts, bro?
But no. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely, man. Good to have you on. Got anything you wanna
Are we
shout out? Or,
doing movie stunts next weekend?
yeah, that's the end of the month. Yeah, end of the month.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Stream.
Yeah. So I'll be doing that with you. I think Gourd, we're doing the Warriors next week,
Correct.
and I don't know what's going on for Thursday. For Roman's show, I might have a family obligation, but after that, I'll be reviewing Cyberpunk with Gooch and his crew, and I gotta jump over in there and get into Scavenger's Reign. But God, I love just doing this with you guys, and thank you so much for having me on. Nadia, so much love. Thank you for giving us the insight about the makeup and everything. I always wondered how they did that. So, and Gourd, I'm sure you can go on about this for another million years. And
Yes.
Jake,
I did send you that
Mexico,
video.
please
just
send
now,
me
by
that
the way.
stuff.
I did send you the video that I was talking about earlier.
Oh, thank you so much. So yeah. I'll always, anytime you guys want to share with me, you can find me. Yeah, Sammy 3Pete all across the board. But anytime you guys want to send me a video or something, I'm always down. So
I'm gonna send you the movie for Don Giovanni. The performance for Giovanni, the movie for Figaro.
oh,
gonna
please
love
do.
You're gonna love it. The
I
movies,
think-
the movies in another level. They don't make those they don't make 90s anymore. Yeah.
Well, I'm all about it. So, all right, guys.
Later,
Have a
man.
good one.
Have a good night, Sammy.
Thank you for having me on, Jake.
Oh, I love his guy's takes. He has so much insight, and I want to talk about the play because I want to read the play now. I'm curious about it.
Like I said, I'll be
What do you
doing.
guys want to do?
Huh?
Just what do you guys want to do? Want to continue with the
I mean,
movie?
I'm-
Because
I'm-
we're
I
in the
could-
2 hour. I can
I
talk
can
to
go,
like for
obviously.
4 hours. Yeah, I can go for a
I'm
lot.
totally good to keep going. I don't work until the weekend, so I'm good. I mean, you can skim through this part till up to I guess the point where she's negotiating for the money, because
Yeah.
obviously, and very rightly negotiating, because this guy who runs this house, he's like, oh, I'll give you half the house if you compose something for this, because he's trying to, encourage him. Hey, if you did Don Giovanni here, you would have made bank basically.
Mhm.
But she's kind of like seeing him as like, yeah, I don't buy it, and she's like, what do you pay him as down payment? Which makes total sense. If you're going to spend
Yeah.
time composing an opera, then you're going to need some down payment there, because that's a lot of work for nothing if you're not getting paid.
Yeah, I don't know, because seeing it in the perspective of Mozart, I thought it was like I would have done it. Like thinking
Well,
about
I get
Mozart as a
his
musician,
perspective, but he's
because the guy
he's not
was
a
like
practical
cool
thinker.
and he was funny. He had the same humor, and I guess Mozart didn't have a lot of friends back then. For
This,
what
by
the
the
movie
way,
shows.
is we've had a nice stint without any director's cut scenes, but this is returning to one. Obviously, this is the dog guy, who's played by the villain from Dune, by the way, the 1984 Dune, which is a terrible movie.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, it's a bad movie, but I know there's some people who like it, but no,
I
1984
mean,
Dune
for
is
me, it's
awful.
fun. It's fun bad. I have fun watching it because it's kind of fun bad.
I think New Dune is really good, but old Dune I thought was
New
kind of
Dune is-
crap.
Yeah, New Dune is brilliant.
But yeah, this another scene. It's like I get what they're going for, but it's
I
this
thought it
scene
was
kind of
unnecessary,
meanders a
or-
bit. It's
not
like,
really
look,
necessary.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's unnecessary. It's not an awful scene. But it's a callback to an awful scene.
I just
But,
want to watch the theatricals release because they're getting rid of these scenes.
Well, I posted the link in the private chat for the.
I'm gonna copy it right now.
yeah,
Screen
it's about-
run? No,
It's like
I-
$10.50.
Oh, I don't have $10.
I'm just saying that's the cost for whenever you have
Yeah.
the money to buy.
I'm gonna see it eventually. Yeah.
But yeah, we can just scrub past this. It's basically him just saying, "I need money." The guy says, "No, please, no, please." It's like, okay, we get it.
Mm-hmm. It was really
uh,
weird. Yeah.
Now we're back to the
Oh,
real
wait.
movie, because he's composing and he's constantly showing that picture of his father lording over him. The doors being banged on. I love that they're playing the music that he's composing over things, and it's like, oh, this is going on in his head right now. He's just
Yeah.
hearing the music.
Yeah.
And that is how it happens with a composer. And that will be happening with a composer of his stature. It's so incredibly well done. Like you said, the guy that did the editing is it's a genius.
Mm-hmm. And then
Musical
it cuts off
part.
when she's like, "Whoa!" When she's like, "Hey, Wolfie!" It's like, what? But yeah. At first, he's telling her, "Don't tell him I'm here," and she doesn't realize he's talking about Salieri. Of course, then again, he doesn't realize he's talking about Salieri. He just knows him as this, basically a ghost asking him for a Requiem Mass, and then he
Yeah.
comes in, and he's like, "What is this?" It's like, Requiem Mass. What's going on? And he's like, "No, that's not for you." And he's like, well, "Where's the piece you've got for me?" And he's like, "It's all up here in my noodle." It's like the rest is just scribbling, bibbling, and scribbling.
Yeah, basically.
I'm high.
Which he's probably telling the truth. He's like, "Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
the
it is
truth.
all
Yeah,
right." He's probably right.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, why? But because not everyone is as autistic as this guy, and so he's like, a normal, I guess,
Mhm.
person, and he's like, yeah, no, give me my thing. I invested a lot of money on this.
Yeah, he's
But
like, "I'm
Mozart
paying
is
these people to
completely-
rehearse. We're
Yeah,
starting next
exactly.
week. What are you doing?"
And I understand the guy. I thought that Mozart was really being like irresponsible, but that's Mozart. That's all.
Well, yeah, well, and he's torn because he's got the one person who is paying him, but the work is killing him, and he's got this thing that he'd be more than happy to do, but he's he's trying to make sure he keeps his family together. But yeah, it's all killing him. It's tearing him
Yeah,
this way and
everything
that.
is killing him. And he's drinking and drinking to keep him away. Yeah. He drank a lot of, like, I saw him drink a lot of things that I was like, I've never seen a human drink too much.
This and this little moment, like this is where it's funny because Tom Hulce, his performance, oddly, it's like it gets better and better as the movie goes because you see the layers
Yes.
to his character and you see the tragedy. You know, it's funny. It's like his hair was borderline like Beetlejuice looking, but like part of me
I
even
was
wonders if
scared.
Beetlejuice's hair was slightly inspired by it because it kind of
Could
looks
be.
like it. But
He's
yeah,
so
he has this
good.
tender moment with his son. But yeah, there's kind of a growing disconnect between him and his wife because she's obviously like there's a lot of pressure to keep things together, and she is the more practical minded one, so it's causing friction between them. And he just like you kind of get the sense it looks like she's anticipating him to come over to her, so she pretends she's asleep, and he doesn't. And I was like, oh, that's kind of heartbreaking a little bit. But yeah, you just see these little moments where it's like, well, you've either looked at him as a clown or as this person inspired by God up to this point. And now you're seeing the more human side of him. You're remembering he's a person.
I guess we become a more human the closer that we are to death.
Mhm.
Yeah, this movie is a trauma for a lot of musicians. Like the way it shows how he's getting, decomposed. He gets, he starts to rot inside, and it's just really hard for a lot of every musician has a lot of hard times with this part of the movie. It's heartbreaking just seeing him, the human behind the god. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that he's got that scene where he's kind of mocking the picture of his father, and then Salieri comes right to the door, and it's just like, boom! It hit more. The Don Giovanni hits again, and he's just like, oh, he was watching. But he's telling him to work. It's like, the faster you work, the greater your reward. And he's like, okay. He's just terrified by him. And this is where, she's like, I think you're going mad. She's like, you're slaving away for this guy who won't pay anything. Meanwhile, this guy lays down real money. He's not a ghost. And she's like, just give me one reason that I can understand. And he tells her, he's like, it's killing me. And she's like, you've been drinking again. And I love the way they use music, I think, to emphasize like this is where the disconnect is kind of final, at least up to the moment he's about to die. But it's like, okay, this is there's a severing there, because like he just goes after she weeps a little bit, he's like, go back to bed, and then they punch in the music, and I was like, ooh, that's really good. And he's just like, I can't listen to her anymore. And he has to get away, and he runs and he goes to party again. It's like, oof, bad choice.
Yeah.
He's just sinking them further into debt, getting more drunk. And he's making all the wrong choices here. He's just, spiraling. I even thought the look on that woman's face that flashed there, it reminded me of one of those like demons in Don Giovanni. It's like he's just being consumed by it. I was like, ooh, that's freaky looking. That's freaky looking.
Yeah. And they were going for freaky, dicky, drunk.
I think they're doing a little more than just drinking.
No, probably. I mean, it's like exactly. There is a madness in this party. They use music to heighten that madness. He's playing his tunes like really fast and frantic and humming along with it in a way. It's like, ooh, this.
Yeah, I mean, opium was
spiraling.
big back then, specifically in Vienna. I always thought that these musicians had to be smoking. So, like, there's no way. Like, Okay, being realistic, like okay, all my talking about God and all that, but being realistic, these guys were smoking some good dope, and that alcohol is going is
How
like
much was
alcohol.
LSD
I
in
think that's a
Austria?
bread man.
No, but they were smoking some good opium, and opium is like like 70 times more harder than LSD.
Well, I just mean
Um,
you
I
always hear
think this is
a lot of
a bread
creatives
man
talk about
here.
how they got on LSD and it made them more creative or something.
I know
I think
it
this
is
is
a
a bread
fact
man.
that no
I
no
do
no
know
no.
that
Don't know.
Mozart, he was a Freemason. He was that, so he had some. Yeah, he was
Hmm.
connected to some peoples.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, it is a fact that psychedelic substances makes your brain work in a different way, and it does makes your music not better but more complex. Definitely. And there's the studies and stuff like that. That well, not studies about composers, but it has been proven that it makes your brain chemistry different. Yeah.
But yeah, here his this is what I was talking about earlier about like the mother like getting her silliness getting a bit of a payoff. It's like because it almost she inspires part of the magic flute. Which that part it's like as farcical as it is. That's a that part they show of the magic flute. Watching an opera singer
I like
pull that off is pretty incredible. That's a
the look
hard
he
thing to
gives here too.
vocalize.
Is like, you would be really good as one of the characters in my new play,
He's like, ah.
opera.
I mean, you don't smoke LSD, but yeah.
This is a great opera. This is actually a really awesome one. This scene's fantastic.
Yeah, it's not.
This is my only favorite scene of the whole entire movie. This is like this is it for me, guys. Just cut it here. I'm good.
The lyrics of the aria, yeah, and that aria, the Night's Queen is one of the hardest. It's one of the
Mhm.
hardest things ever to be put in for a soprano to sing ever. Is literally one of the proofs of if you are a great soprano, you need to sing that thing, and if not, you're not. You don't graduate. No, but the Magic Flute is not an opera. It's lyrical lyrical play, something like that. It's not really an opera. It's not.
Okay.
It's not considered an opera. Many people always say. I used to say it's my favorite opera, and they always like, no, it's not an opera. It's a...
I mean, they
Yeah.
list it. It's. I mean, granted, this is just the
Yeah, it's
information
not.
I'm looking at is like they're saying it's an opera. It's a short
It's
one. It's
not
like
an opera. It's
it's a
definitely
2-act, but so there
1000%
might
not
be a more
opera.
technical
It's
name for it.
incorrect.
But
Yeah, it's completely incorrect to say an opera, but it's normally considered as an opera. And me as a music student, I always thought it was opera. And I always say it's my favorite opera because, and then maybe my mistake is should be saying it's my favorite areas and not my favorite pieces of music in
a
the
Singspiel,
most of the
or
school.
is that what yeah? In terms of opera style, it's referred to as a
Oh,
Singspiel, a
and
German language
yeah.
comic opera, is what they
Yeah,
refer to.
exactly.
Yeah.
That would be the right word. It's a rap battle. That scene with when they exchange, that is one of my favorite. And a lot of people say that is the favorite aria. Well, not our duetto. Is incredibly technically complex. It
Mhm.
requires such a knowledge of music, not only just reading, but knowledge of time, and it's just wonderful. And yeah, the people that they got, they actually sing it, and it's really great. They do a really good job.
Mhm.
Yeah, that
Salieri,
scene.
of course,
Yeah,
panics
I never
when he
liked that scene because it's kind of silly. Not the scene in the movie. I mean, in the opera. Well, not the opera, but
it all yeah
regularly.
it's
Yeah,
strange. Particularly, I mean, it's quite a contrast from some of the operas you've watched of his and this, Figaro
uh,
and Don Giovanni. But I mean, he wrote it, so it's there. But
exactly. But it pay off. It pays off. Like that scene is kind of silly, but it pays off.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry about the brightness there. Wow.
Oh
Really,
no,
really
it's
good.
Oh,
it's
that's
fine.
It looks
It's fine.
perfect,
It's
bro.
awesome.
That's really, really
Really,
good.
really good.
How much?
I love that.
It's
Mm.
really good. That's awesome.
And this is for me. These are these
This
20
whole sequence is
minutes.
so
The whole
good.
sequence
Yeah,
is the
it
best
is
thing that
really
I've seen in my life. As a musician, this is no. Like the thing that they did. Well, you can show it when they start narrating. He starts dictating the music. That is one of the best things ever put into film. The best adaptations ever of real music being done is probably the most accurate depiction of what was actually happening in that moment, but with Sus Meyer, not with Salieri. But it's just I've never seen something like that in my life. I didn't think that it was possible, to be
I'm
honest.
putting the video I was talking about earlier in our the little Amadeus group that Jacob created because it's of this scene, and I think you'll appreciate it. I think you'll really like it. If this is your favorite part, which it's my favorite part too, it's a lot of people's, but yeah, this
Yeah, not only
I
my favorite
love that
part,
he
but
can.
yeah.
Even though he's using him here, he does obviously have that honest line where he tells him, "You're the greatest composer known to me." He's absolutely serious there, and here you also. This is the first time that Salieri is not. He's obviously seen the music that Mozart composes. He sees the genius in that, but it's always from the outside looking in. This is him actually getting to work with that genius for the first time, to actually see it in action. It's so incredible. It's this
And
is
there's a
it's
part where he
amazing.
pauses and he's like, I don't understand this. That is oh my god, I
It's
never
humbling.
thought that
Yeah.
they could reflect that sentiment of an entire era about Mozart's music, the
Mhm.
sentiment of entire thousands and thousands of people during that era about Mozart's music, just in one sentence. I don't get this. And then he explains, no, you see, he's like that, and he's like, now I get it. And it's like he was enlightened by God.
Yeah,
His face just
it's like he's gets
changes completely. He's
yeah. Oh, it's so good. And I love showing it shows this side of Mozart where he's able to, dictate because this is him at his most calm. He's enthusiastic, but he's exacting. It's like every time he gets it's like it reminds me, me being a Christian and me believing what I believe about the word of God is it's presented in a fashion where it's almost like God is dictating something to someone who's writing his word down, writing the Bible down. He's like, "Did you get that? Now show it to me. I have to make sure this is
yeah.
right. We cannot get this wrong." And then hands it back, and it's like it's done in a fashion that's reminiscent of that idea, and it's so good.
Yeah.
And plus,
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for watching how music can come together. Like I think the scene in School of Rock where he helps the kids like instrument by instrument compose kind of a piece of music. I
I
actually really like.
love that
That's
That's
such a
great.
movie.
cool
It's such
scene.
a cool
But this
scene.
is like the OG of that scene. It's amazing.
This scene made me want to tell my teacher, "You're wrong about this movie. You're
It's like look,
fucking
I get the
wrong about
history
this
part, but it's
movie."
a film, and this scene.
Yeah. Um, but these guys in the music school, they were really like everyone that you're going to know in music school is just such a freaking show off and pompous and envious, and that's why I understand Salieri. Like everyone I met was like that with me. Like everyone I met was a freaking arsehole, and damaged my reputation and denied opportunities from me, took opportunities from me, stole music from me, stole ideas from me, and a lot of those things in school, in college, because musicians are like that. That is the issue. Well, musicians that are not Mozart, you know what I mean? Mozart was such a kind-hearted, um, because and kind-hearted and silly and foolish and all of that because he was not himself. He was talking, his music was God talking through him. Himself was just like a vulgar man. He says, like, you remember, like you said, that line was perfect because of that. Mozart was just a vulgar man, but God was talking to him in his brain through his music. And this is
But I
God
assure you,
basically
my music
rushing.
is
Yeah, God
not.
saying, "Bro, you're dying. Please finish my final, my obra maestra, my masterpiece." Well, until this time, right? Then it came Beethoven, and in my opinion, Beethoven.
Well, I mean,
is
like I said, we brought this up earlier, and Sammy brought this up, how the movie plays out like an opera. and here you're getting to the end as Mozart is genuinely dying, and he's composing his own death mass. There's a
Yeah.
real urgency, like when he tells them piece by piece how to compose this part, and then they harmonize it all. There's this dark urgency to the music that is just so powerful, and the
Yeah.
way it's filmed, just
You know,
it captures that
Don't
so
we
well.
stop.
haven't
And he's like,
talked-
I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna rest. And it's
we
my
haven't
God.
talked a lot about it, but the cinematography in this too, like
Oh,
this shot right here,
so good.
looks like a painting.
It does.
I mean, it's
It
Yeah.
really
it's
does.
really good.
It does. Yeah, you're right. But it was
Jinja, get on it.
different
Oh,
era,
sure,
right?
yeah, I'm right there. That's
Stop
it,
what
right
you
there
do.
with
No.
This was a different era, right? Of when directors were actually trying
Sorry
to
about that.
So good.
to make
Right.
art, right?
Mhm. It's like, oh, that's
Oh
wonderful.
my
And
God!
here
And
he's
this
just
the
at the
editing.
point of exhaustion. He's
Oh.
just reached that point where he doesn't have a lot. The odd thing is this movie actually didn't win for
Exactly.
cinematography. Which is kind of insane to me.
I mean,
It's like what it's like.
I
I'm looking up now. It's like
understand.
what beat it. Okay,
I
well,
understand why. Maybe it was
okay, I will give it this.
conservative
It was
when
beat
it
by the
came
Killing
to.
Fields. The Killing Fields does have amazing cinematography, so I can stomach that. Killing Fields is a great movie.
Yeah.
So
The reason, in my opinion, is because it's kind of conservative with the cinematography, and that is good for the movie. It's perfect for works perfectly for the movie.
mhm.
But
Well, and like I
yeah,
said, I think I mean if you watch The Killing Fields, the cinematography of that is pretty outstanding,
Mhm.
and that's a movie that would have won Best Picture many other years, but it was up against this, so I'm okay with that getting that kind of as a consolation prize.
oh man, and then the editing of the previous scene when where the music where he's singing and it's sublime. I never seen anything like that. It's Stanley Kubrick, literally.
Well,
He
speaking of
was like,
Stanley Kubrick's, like I mean, he did Barry Lyndon not too long before this, and that movie's art style, I think, was a pretty big inspiration for this one. But this particular
I
scene,
love Barry Lyndon, by the way.
this particular scene, where he's basically telling Salieri, "I'm so ashamed. I thought you didn't care for my music." And he says, "Forgive me." But then there's that more pointed look at him where he says, "Forgive me." And it's almost like he's saying to him, like, "Forgive me for everything you hate about me."
Yeah,
It's
it was.
I'm not gonna lie. It puts it like brought tears to my eyes watching. I'm like, oh, it's so tragic.
Yeah,
It's so
this
tragic.
was the scene for me. All of this entire sequence of him dictating the music, him dying, him just being like, I understand and I don't understand, and him being so like move fast because I'm dying. This entire scene, I was crying my eyes out.
hmm
And when it comes to this scene, I was screaming at the screen, please shut up. Can I say the B word? Please shut up, bitch. Shut up. Let him war. Let him finish. F you. You went out to get married with, I don't know, or whatever you were doing. Those fancy clothing did not came for free, all right? Oh,
I mean,
so
to her, I mean, she's I
awesome.
get where she's coming from. This she's now finally like, okay, you said this was killing you, then want to stop. But also, it's mingled with her anger at Salieri,
Her
which
feelings.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Mozart also realized that Salieri is the only one who seems to recognize his genius. Exactly. It's such a beautiful moment, but it's so tragic because it's like he's saying this to the person who
No, I think Nadia
who
gave us
wants him dead. It's like this is the person who
the
wants him
right.
dead.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a great moment. But then
No, man, I was screaming at the screen, please finish it, please, Lacrimosa. I was literally screaming at the screen, and I was just like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. And then, you know,
and like and the look that Salieri gives when she locks that music away, he's like, oh no. It's like my whole
yeah,
plan. It's like
I had the same thoughts I did had, which is get your dirty hands out of that miracle, you dirty woman. I was like, get your dirty hands out of that piece
oh
of
no,
my.
I was fine because I'm like, no, Salieri shouldn't get credit for that.
No, I was literally screaming at the screen, get your hands out of that. Stop
And
it.
she locks it away, and I also like her little line here. She's like, "I regret that we don't have a servant to show you out," because it's like she's figured out that
Mhm.
servant was his.
Mhm.
She's probably heard about how they somehow knew about Marriage of Figaro, and she's like, okay, she's pieced this together that this was Salieri who did this.
I
She
mean, they
remembers.
kept her for
She
a
like,
while.
and to me, that's why the animosity she feels is perfectly justified without the additional scene. Is because she has figured out that he's the one who sent him in. She's smart. She's
But
a
they
smart
kept
lady.
her for a while. Even after she, well, I mean, when she left, the only reason why the girl left is because she said like, and I didn't really like that scene. It was like kind of over the top. Oh, this guy is getting drunk. I would have liked if she said something like he's dying or something like he's killing, you know, the work is dying. He's dying because of the work. I don't know. I thought that no, they kept her like I don't know. Her animosity will make more sense with the scene, but
I don't think it does.
without the scene of the terech, without the titties, just with him rejecting the work, or him saying that he will actually do it, but didn't recommend the work or something like that.
But yeah, this is This
Oh,
is just tragic.
it stands with the servant.
Well, no, the
most of
servant
the
is standing
people.
off to the side. She's far back. I don't think she's directly with them.
Oh, okay.
But because she's standing with her mother. The servant's kind of they're like everyone's kind of positioned in different spots. But this is so tragic though because Mozart's buried in a mass grave, unmarked, which is just
Yeah,
awful.
I agree with Jay. I agree with Jay on this one. That Hadiri
Well,
servant put her out
it's
of
not
her-
actually. I was reading about this. It was in Vienna. This was the tradition this is how they did funerals.
Their
But he
tradition
wasn't
sucks.
he wasn't buried. He wasn't buried in a mass grave like they show. He actually was buried in his own grave, but it was like, it was a communal graveyard. So
Mhm.
not a
I
pauper's graveyard,
mean,
but just a communal graveyard.
what
I
what
got
what is it? Because I heard
But they
a
celebrated
lot of
his death
people.
Guys, Nadia's gonna
by
hop off.
by
Oh yeah, this is
Oh,
accurate.
okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I've got to hop off. Sorry, guys.
All right, that's okay.
I don't have anything to plug except that I'm going to be on Gourd's for the Warriors next week.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I do. My other channel, The Laundry, we're doing our first game night live stream Friday night. So I guess just follow me on Twitter. You'll find where I'm at. Thank you for inviting me. Even though I didn't like the movie,
Yeah,
I did enjoy
definitely.
it from a artist point of view for the costume, makeup, and scenic design, since that's all the stuff I used to do. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
I thought I was not gonna like it either, so I understand. Yeah.
It was a good nap. It was a good nap.
Francis.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye. Later, Nadia.
All right. So yeah, we're down to the last 10.
I couldn't bring myself to watch this scene. I was freaking crying.
Yeah, it's
I was so angry with her because
it's funny because it's kind of the exact opposite of what Salieri imagined, that you have this music playing. Okay, so you see, okay, go back a couple shots.
she's standing on the side.
All right, so
Yeah.
she,
Yeah,
no, not
she's
there,
off.
one forward, no, two forward now.
Yeah, I saw her. That she's back there, like way back there.
Yeah,
like,
she's
right there.
yeah, you've got her right here in the forefront. The servant's behind everyone, so it's like she's not quite with them. She's in there, but she's not with them.
I like to think that she felt petty for Mozart.
I mean, look, here's the thing: if you're fine with that scene, then you can contextualize it the way you're all contextualizing. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying I don't think it's necessary at all. But yeah, this scene,
I mean,
like I said, it's kind of the opposite of what Salieri imagined. He was imagining this grand funeral where he gets to play the music, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's finally been touched by God." And instead, it's this meek, poor man's funeral. The music is playing, over the scene rather than Salieri doing it.
Yeah.
And it's it's miserable. It's sad.
When Mozart died, in reality, there were concerts of his music all over.
Yeah.
Celebrating.
His
life
popularity
or whatever.
was not as low as it's depicted. I mean, it obviously
Yeah.
grew well beyond what it was
Yeah,
back then. But
And-
he
but,
was popular, but he was poor also.
Sans was not, you know, was not that bad uh, after the fact because of all of those. So I'm glad that she did well after, most
Yeah.
of that. Although all I know is the depiction of the actress. So I'm just thinking of the actress. I hope the actress did good after most of that.
Oh, Elizabeth Barrett, yeah. I mean, she didn't get to
Um,
do a whole lot after this, but
yeah,
I
the
she
communal
seems fine.
thing, yeah, is accurate. The communal thing is spot on. But yeah, he did the communal thing because he was poor.
Mhm.
If not, he would. Yeah, there were other like Hayden.
this-
When Hayden died, holy
this-
moly! Like when Handel died, holy moly, guacamole!
This kind of burial was actually, they did do this. They
Hmm.
had a casket and they just opened the bottom and dumped him in.
Yes,
Gosh.
exactly.
That's
That's
so messed up.
exactly how they did it. That's exactly how they did it.
But his was different though. He was actually buried in his own grave. But later on they dug him up and put him in a mass grave.
Ah,
Weird.
yeah, you're right. You're 1,000% right. Yeah, because they couldn't pay for the.
But this kind of funeral was real. They actually
Yeah,
did do
this
this kind of
was
stuff.
really accurate. I mean, probably. Well, I don't know if but it was accurate. This what happened. And then the concerts. I wish they show maybe. No, I don't know. I think this was a perfect ending, and then the next scene was really, really great done. Like,
Yeah. Him saying, "You're
Mhm.
merciful God." It's like killed his own beloved, just to keep me from sharing in his glory.
Yeah.
And he tells the priest, he's like, goes, "I will speak for you, Father. I speak for all mediocrities. I am their champion, their patron saint."
that was
By the way, if
that
anybody
was
if
a burn for
anybody
Salieri.
doesn't yeah, it was.
And the final touch of hearing Mozart's laugh as it fades is it's like, oh, it's basically God getting the last laugh on him.
I like
By
that.
the way,
I like
that white powder is
Mhm.
lye, which made the bodies decompose faster.
Mhm.
Yep.
And it wouldn't sting that much because it
I
was like
absolve you. I absolve you.
I absolve you.
that is still used
this-
in
this
Mexico, by the
guy's
way,
just-
with bodies. They
Oh
are
yeah, he's
totally-
just had his heart
broken.
ripped out listening to this story. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just broken at this point.
He's like, I'm gonna leave the
Credit to this actor
The
whose
church.
all of his lines are at the almost all of his lines are at the beginning. He does get one "what" in there, in the middle, but his acting is almost all expression.
Yeah,
It's pretty
He-
dang good.
it's pretty good. I like I said, it's pretty dang great directed. By the way, I think that this guy, after hearing this story, he said, "Okay, I'm going to America. I'm leaving everything. I'm
I'm
going
out
to
of here.
America."
I hear there's a group called Led Zeppelin. That's pretty good. I'll listen to that.
I'm gonna leave the church and I'm going to become a Protestant.
I'm gonna go be a Protestant.
Yeah. Look at his face. He's done
Yeah.
so.
I absolve you.
Mediocrities
He
everywhere.
became
I
the
absolve
first
you.
atheist.
And then just like I said, the little touch of God getting the last laugh as the movie closes.
I have to say, crazy houses back then, they punished people. That
Yeah.
guy's chained to the wall. There's a guy in a cage.
Hmm.
The chain to the wall maybe could be a danger to someone else, and the guy in the what is it called, the jail or whatever, is because he's a danger to himself, perhaps.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, they were loony beans. Like they were literally loony beans run by the church, so they were not the smartest. Perfect scene, perfect ending. What a
Yeah.
movie! What a
And an
movie.
outstanding art piece.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
That is
Yay.
really, really great.
It's awesome.
We made it. We managed to basically
great
do
work
the
there.
runtime
We
of the
yeah, we did the runtime of the theatrical cut.
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, we made it.
And while we were
2.5.
watching the bad scenes, we were talking about good music.
But
Yes.
yeah, it's It's like I can. It's like as long as I can talk about all the good stuff, it's like all right. I can put down the director's cut scenes like I want to. Exactly. Don Giovanni pays off. Yeah, I adore this film.
Yeah,
It's
actually, Don Giovanni is
thematically
one of the
brilliant.
guys of
Its
yes.
storytelling is brilliant. It's on a technical level, it's incredible. The music is amazing. This movie changed me. I don't think I'd be a YouTuber if I hadn't seen Amadeus. It changed the way I look at movies. It turned me into a lover of classical music. Yeah, it's a pivotal moment in my life when I saw Amadeus. It truly changed me.
Right now is a period moment of mine when I saw it for the first time. I never saw it before because of my teacher. And now I am glad that I saw it because of this. I thought that I was going to, have a good insight because of the music stuff, but it just changed me, man. It's just brought me light. Yeah, it definitely made me think about God a lot, and I
I
love
mean,
thinking about God.
cool. Yeah, if anything, this should be used as to inspire people about classical music.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
definitely.
mean, it got Gourd to love listening to classical music, and it
Yeah,
really
it's just hard. Like
encouraged
I
it.
don't understand why it's hard to listen to classical music. To be honest, all the people that I always tell, if you don't like classical
Oh,
music,
I love Gourd.
you are not high enough in the things that they were smoking back then. Because yeah, they were smoking some good stuff
Yeah,
back
too many
then.
people have trained themselves
Uh,
to think Taylor Swift is supposed to be singing during music, and I'm like, no, it's
Oh,
not.
no,
It's like if she just shut
no.
up and someone else was playing real music, you'd know what it actually could be. It's so much better than that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I love.
so much
I
better.
still love music. My favorite music still is music with someone singing. In popular music, well, from the good eras of music, the 20th century, obviously.
I mean, no,
Uh,
I don't mind like all modern music. I don't like. I mean, most music that's coming out like in the recent years, I'm not particularly fond of. I like plenty of songs
No,
that
me
have
neither.
lyrics and whatnot, but classical music,
yeah, I mean, the only guy
eh.
that I would say is worth it in
This has too many notes.
musicals point of view is Kendrick Lamar, probably the only musician nowadays that I would say is doing something. Well, was different until the only thing that I would recommend for him is to Pimp a Butterfly, which is an album that is completely music. When we talk about modern music, but other than that, yeah, modern music is kind of doom. AI music is gonna take over in like 3 years. If we don't go back to the base, we don't go back to classical music. Not even has to be
Study that. I mean,
like that, but it can be a new modern type
if
of
you're going into the music
classical.
industry, study classical music.
Mhm.
Use that as your base, because that
Not anymore. I would
has inspired
say
other music.
not anymore. In the past, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, perhaps 2000s, even I would say things like David Guetta have had a little bit of musical and training, but nowadays it's not worth it. Unless you're
It's
doing
not.
like music for film. Obviously, you have to do it if you're doing music for film, video games. That is the renaissance of academic classical music. But modern pop music, no, in the regular nowadays musical industry, which is the one that dominates the market. No, it's done so, like it's
Yeah,
done so.
to me, it's like the best modern music is coming from film and video games. That's where all the best stuff is coming
Definitely,
from.
no doubt, no doubt, no
Yeah.
doubt, no
That well,
doubt.
there and I actually am a big fan of synthwave music. I think it's pretty awesome. That music does a lot for me, but
Hmm.
as far as more
Which is
traditional styles
still
are concerned, yeah.
old,
And
old
synthwave, it's its
school.
own
Now,
kind of composition, which it's
It's
awesome.
old school. It's still,
now,
the
what
best
is synth
synthwave in my
music?
opinion is in the 70s.
It's like electronic type music. You'd hear it in a lot of
Like Daft Punk?
80s motifs and stuff. Like Blade Runner had kind of a synth sort of style to it,
Oh, okay.
but it's like I could send you like a
Daft
really
Punk,
good.
maybe?
I could send you like a Daft Punk would probably be a good example of that, but I could send you a track of what I'm talking about, like it's something amongst my favorites,
send it.
and give you an idea
Send it.
of.
Do you know Emerson Lake and Palmer? Maybe you're gonna enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
Emerson Lake and Palmer.
James,
Have you heard of
that is a fantastic artwork.
Sorry,
Oh,
I was
it's
so
awesome,
quiet most
dude.
of the time. I realized I was on mute a lot when I was speaking because I have to use a hair dryer
Uh-oh.
here, and I turned the mute on and I forget to turn it back off. But your guys' insight, like I can't compete with your guys' musical knowledge is on a different level. So I was just here to learn. But that was a great talk.
Hey.
What a great movie.
Gourd and Mexa are like really good at the music stuff. I mean, their
Mostly what I was talking
through the
about
whole
was
show
just the
have been great.
movie stuff. I doubt that I have anywhere near his music knowledge, but I can talk the film. This is my favorite movie, and it's I've studied a lot of it.
But
One-
this
just out
one-
movie is a teacher as well, so I like it. I like
Yeah.
it.
One band that I would say has a very big love for classical music, and it's very obvious, would be Muse.
Yeah, Muse. Yeah,
okay.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
classically
Muse
trained,
definitely,
completely.
and I
Oh
like
yeah,
them musically.
actually,
I
I
think Muse
forgot
is
about
pretty
Muse.
good.
And you're right.
Yeah.
2010 probably is the date of music, because Muse is the last great thing that the guy that makes the music. He is a trained musician.
Yes,
You can
definitely.
tell. Yeah, you can tell. Like I didn't even know that he was a trained musician, but I heard
Mm.
one of his songs, and I thought this guy is a genius.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
composes as well. Like so, yeah. There's not a whole lot of them left that do that, but if you do see him, try to support him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I spent more
Yeah.
than 2 hours of not drinking any water and smoking.
I spilled my
Really
coffee
smart.
all over me halfway through. I
Oh,
don't think
no.
anybody noticed. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, there we go. Oh, that was fun though. That was really cool.
It was really
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
Great.
I had this
Glad
amount of
everybody
fun
was-
in a while. Haven't found a lot
Glad
of fun.
everybody was able to come and discuss this movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll go around the horn and shout out our stuff coming up. Gourd, you first.
Okie dokie. Let's see. Further, I guess the rest of this week I'll probably do a couple of gaming streams playing Returnal on my Gaming with Gourd channel. The next video I'm working on is an analysis of Nightcrawler. Not sure when that'll be out. My videos tend to be long, so they take a while to make. But that is my next project. But my live show next week on Tuesday at 9 p.m., which unfortunately does clash with this, but if you want to go back and forth, you can. But I and my panel will be talking the film The Warriors, which is a pretty awesome movie, which also, by the way, has a pretty cool soundtrack to it, which is somewhat synthetic in nature. So yeah, y'all can check that out. That'll be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Definitely.
Mexa.
Well, I've been in a kind of a hiatus for like a while now because of work. So I've been trying to post a lot of videos, but the topics have gone old. You know what I mean? So my next video was going to be about that Christian only F girl that was doing, the transition to Christianity, and I thought that was a bunch of baloney. And I just wanted to make a fun video about it, a Mexican fun video about it. But yeah, check out my channel. Please support my song, Oye Gringo. Please leave a comment down below in that song so it gets more views. It's pumping off, and I hope we can make it to maybe 1 million. I don't know, someday. It already crossed
someday.
500,000, so I'm really happy about it. But it's slowing down, so I need your help so I can pay my rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a comment in Oye Gringo in my song. We did it with Technically Mexican. Great guy, and you can check his channel out as well. And that's it for me.
I was streaming with him yesterday on Words of Paradise. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I heard about it. Sadly, the Words of Paradise stream is always when I'm at work, so I'm like, I want to watch it. I'm at work. But yeah, thank you guys for inviting me. It was such a
Yeah,
pleasure.
definitely.
You guys changed my perspective. I'm going to. I started watching a lot of stuff that I was not going to watch because of prejudgment because of teachers that I had in music school that were a little pretentious.
I did
Yeah.
just subscribe to your channel, so yeah, there we go.
Thank you, thank you. I think I'm already subscribed to yours. I think
Cool.
you were doing the rush to 2K. I think. Oh, I don't remember.
I made it to 1K. I made it to 1K
To
fairly
1K.
recently, so yeah.
1K. Yeah. I was there when you were doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I joined then.
Cool.
James, what do you got? Anything you
Oh,
want to
well, let's see. I'm basically just been busy getting ready for Osaka Comic Con. I've got a booth there.
Cool.
Got a call for submissions right now, and I'm working on a new series of. I've actually really been into commissioning models to do poses and stuff for me, and I'm turning those into superhero artwork now. So there's like a recent one of like Batman and this kind of stuff.
Cool.
And so I'm putting a whole bunch of these up on the net. So if you guys want to check those out, give them a thumbs up. I'm working on Nightcrawler right now. There he is.
Ooh, nice.
That's OG Nightcrawler.
Yeah. OG one. Yeah. And this is the guy from today. There you go. It's better. Look at it.
I
Very
love
cool.
it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that. That is really
Awesome.
great.
But yeah, just be on the lookout for that. And I'm going to throw up some pictures and videos of Osaka Comic Con. Angry Canadian's going to come out and help out the booth. So yeah, just getting ready for that right now. I do have a YouTube channel. I haven't been really doing much on it as of late. I put up a lot of time-lapse videos of artwork that I do up there. So if you want to go check those out, that'd be nice. And yeah, that's about all.
Nice.
Thank you again for having me on today.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. Glad to have you on for the first time on the show. So
yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be on here next week, right? For the.
Yep.
It's next week, right? For
the
Zulu.
Zulu.
Right? Yes.
1964.
Yeah.
Cool.
Zulu movie. Great movie. Yeah, that's what I got coming up next. Is Zulu, and James will be on. That'll be great. Thanks to Beard for doing work in the background for us, and thanks to everybody on the panel that could come on and talk about this great movie. Mixed feelings about people had mixed feelings on this movie. Nadia fell asleep, so but I hope everybody had a thanks to the chat for hanging with us, and I hope everybody has a good week, and we'll see y'all next time. Have
Bye,
a good one,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye.